Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Toonkind at 12 FPS here at EGAD headquarters. I'm your host, Carmichael, also known as Mikey, here with Winona. Say hi, Winona.
Hello! It's great to be here.
Who will you be playing today?
Today I'll be playing a little mad lad because I hold him up into the sky. This kid has magic now. What terrors will he unleash onto the world? We don't know yet.
Hopefully, those terrors will be under control, as the one that will be accompanying the little boy on his trip today is none other than Monsieur Roguefort, the sugar plum fairy converted to dinner critter for the time being. And this FPS is titled Blazing a Trail.
Yes, hee hee. Road
We have
trip,
already
road
made
trip.
our roll for the weather, so I will describe the weather and bring us back to headquarters. The weather is partly cloudy today. The sun peeks through here and there, but for the most part well, outside of the Xerox jungle, it's rather gray. It's a rather gray world today. The Xerox jungle, being a jungle environment, maintains its greens, doesn't lose any leaves or anything. The flowers are no longer in bloom because of how cold it is, but everything else has maintained itself so far. What does lose leaves for the winter loses them and remains barren, adding to that winter backdrop. The temperatures are about as chilly as to be expected with the winter. And it looks like there may have been some snow that fell earlier, but it must have melted away some minutes later, so it's not sticking at the moment. It is, however, incredibly windy, as strong gale force winds are whipping branches around this way and that, and billowing Roguefort's clothes, antennae, and mustache about.
It's heckin'
As he
windy.
It's heckin' windy. As he stands in the shelter of one of the trees, waiting for Mad Lad and Red. And how is their packing going?
Their packing is going quite well. They have packed many times before. They're used to getting out of Dodge fast with looks at their history of being a pirate. They know how to pack efficiently. But Mad Lad's extremely excited. He's just like almost vibrating. He's just happy. He's just a happy little boy. He's just gonna go on a camping trip.
Yeah!
And he has Red with him, and Mad Lad does have like saddle packs on Red because he has a custom saddle for Red, of course, because it's a heckin' Toon Beetle.
He's a big old bug. It requires custom-made stuff, and Roguefort, as a lover of bugs and a bug himself, understands.
Mm-hmm.
He's also pleasantly surprised and impressed when Mad Lad makes it out on record time with that packing. Not in the manner of he didn't expect a little boy to pack so quickly, but in the manner of, oh, didn't think he'd pack similar to how I pack. That's nice.
Yeah, that's like, I'm ready, and he's just like bouncing on his feet.
And though you can, of course, there is no mouth to express it, you can see the way his lower eyelids lift with a smile. Just allow me to go over to voice mod. Thankfully, it's off this time. Unfortunately, we have no evidence of the previous two bloopers, but just know that I accidentally recorded this in Roguefort's voice mod the entire time before. So,
It was funny.
at least the intro. We got to about this point and had to start fresh. So.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. As Mad Lad gets on top of Red.
Everything bundled up? You have the appropriate winter gear for Monsieur Red here?
Uh-huh. As Mad Lad paps the saddlebags.
And of course, Roguefort, in this form, of course, being 10 feet tall, he has to bend down at a cartoonish angle to get to eye level with Red, just to make sure that he's appropriately bundled and blanketed for the winter.
And
They're
he
going
is.
on a camping trip, but it is a winter camping trip, so you gotta be all nice and cozy.
Yeah, and Red is, especially when like Mad Lad knows about bug hibernation and bug terror. He takes care of all the other bugs that Carmenia's found. They know they need to be cozy and warm and stuff. So Mad Lad has like you could definitely tell it's like homemade stuff. Like He had to definitely had to do some mix matching because he's just like, ah, this is not a normal horse or anything. We need to make custom stuff, and so he did.
And Roguefort is, well, not visually shown, he is impressed with that as well. He himself, of course, he has no time for too much rest, but that's nobody's fault but the food courts. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Roguefort's situation is normal and healthy. He has nothing going on with him whatsoever. He's good. He's fine.
I squint at you.
Don't worry about it. But upon confirming this, he of course bundles his cloak, which you notice he's pulled up a heavier duty cloak around himself rather than the lightweight over the shoulder capelet he normally has with his traditional hunting gear. And he's very well bundled for the season. There is a bit of fur trim that looks like it has powdered sugar on it. You're not sure if it started that way or if it somehow has accumulated that. He's bundled most of his hair into his hood and is mostly just protecting extremities and other such things from the strong winds. It shouldn't be too dangerous to him, but the problem is when strong wind is combined with cold, that does have the ability to do harm, even in a funny tune case. So,
yeah.
he's all bundled up and ready to go.
Also, does Roguefort want to make a perception check?
Sure thing. It's been a minute since I've pulled up his sheet. Let's see your, oh, that's right, I forgot, you're my perception boy. You get a +8. I'm so used to playing others whose perception is either average or complete garbage. I keep forgetting, yeah, then there's just him with the +8.
That's completely fair.
I say as he rolls a nat 1.
He doesn't notice nothing.
No, not in the slightest. He's a bit too There is one issue with the wind, actually, and that's the only thing you notice that's distracting him. Because he has those long, sensitive to sound Fey ears, the howling wind is not being nice to his hearing at the moment, as it is to anyone's. For context, strong wind basically imposes a disadvantage on ranged attack rolls from ranged weapons and such things, wisdom perception checks that rely on hearing. It extinguishes open flames, disperses fogs, and makes flying by non-magical means nearly impossible. So, if you've ever seen a dog or any of your other pets, snail, anything, and you've put them out in the cold, and you've seen how they seem fine with it at first, but then part of them almost visibly retracts into their body at the cold or at something else like a wind. Yeah, you've put a dog in a car window and his ears are not taking it well, and unlike usual. He's slightly distracted by it being loud and windy. Ugh.
Yeah, it'd be heckin' windy.
But he doesn't notice anything with Mad Lad, and because the weather has decided he can't fly you to your destination, so Red doesn't get any flight practice at this point, he just turns and leads the way so you can start the hiking portion instead of the flight portion.
You know what's funny? That is Red can't technically fly yet. He's still a baby.
Beloved!
He's a big baby.
Beloved.
But technically, still a baby.
Okay, let me just scroll up real quick so I can appropriately map out where you're walking. Okay, there's the full labeled map. I would like the blank one, please. Now, before we actually get to descriptions, you are a ranger, correct?
Yes.
Do you have a preferred terrain?
No, I'm with the updated ranger, so he just has expertise in survival as a base stat.
God bless your heart. You and Roguefort are two very different breeds of ranger.
Yeah.
You're the new one. He's the old-fashioned one. He's the original handbook one.
Yeah.
Well, save for the fact he's a swarm keeper.
Yeah.
But still, he's the old ranger type. Which makes it funny that he's the one that's going to be helping you out.
Yeah.
So, pulling up the blank map to make sure. And Roguefort gave you a number of options for you to decide where you wanted to camp and practice. There's the forest, there are the mountains, There is the desert, or there is the coast. Which would you like to go to? Which has Mad Lad decided on?
Mad Lad would probably prefer the coast. It's where he's most comfortable with.
Ironically, the closest coast is actually not that far from Buccaneer Bay. So, it could be familiar territory for you if you decide that.
Mm-hmm.
But your trip is... I'm trying to estimate how many hours it would take to get from one point to the other, because on the one hand, you're both toons. There's a montage involved.
There's
but on
indeed
the other,
a montage involved.
But on the other, montages still have time pass. Taking, for example, things like, the Road to El Dorado, The Lion King, that kind of thing, they show different times of day passing by means of sun and moon, where it is in the day at the time.
Uh-huh.
So, allow me to pull up a map of the Sword Coast real quick, because I'm familiar with that one. Fun fact, my home group I run on Tuesdays, or did run on Tuesdays until allergies kicked me from it for a bit. We'll get back to it eventually, but we don't record those.
Fair enough.
I tried to keep travel time relatively realistic, so they could spend an appropriate amount of time in the wilderness. And so they'd have more wilderness encounters, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, give me just a moment. That is a miserably tiny map. I would like a slightly bigger one. If you would, however, would you politely make me a survival check?
Yes, I can. Let me get my dice. Alright.
Just gotta make sure I click the correct version of the map, and one that's,
16.
16. Not a bad number. The first thing you notice immediately is you don't take any of the roads. Well, you don't take any of the modern roads. Any of the roads that you take out are dirt, mud, maybe gravel at best. But the first thing is Roguefort almost seems to avoid the man-made roads altogether. Which... you're not sure why he would, but he seems to enjoy walking you more through the natural areas and the road less traveled as opposed to, just walking you over the Could you guys post a high-definition version of this map? I swear to...
I pat you. I feel this pain.
Now, hang on a minute. I'm a fool, because the tab I have Roguefort sheet in has a map of the Sword Coast. Because it's Tales of the Yawning Portal. Give me a minute.
Ooh, nice.
Today is just gonna be hopefully fun and shenanigans. Hopefully nothing bad happens, but okay, there's the map of the Sword Coast.
Yeah. I have a map of the Sword Coast too. I started off in D&D with the starter set, so I had the Mines of Philandor Dar module.
Ooh, I pat you. I got the Lost Mines of Phandelver, I believe is how it was said.
I don't know how it's exactly pronounced, I'll be honest.
No, you're good. I'm not criticizing. It's just I remembered it differently, so I was like,
fair enough.
Huh.
Yeah, no. No, you're fine.
But okay, so if I'm going to take this as an approximate distance based on the fact that this is a zoomed in map that covers the approximate distance of the full size map. Which means it's already going to take a while for you to even get to your current destination. So allow me to go back to that other tab real quick. And I'm going to roll a survival check for Roguefort. But the first thing is I'm going to copy and paste the mostly blank map into the audience chat, so that way I don't have to keep this tab open.
It's okay, I pat you.
Thankfully, the audience cannot see how many tabs I have open, so they don't understand that this is a lot. I'm just gonna say it gently. It's a lot, and not the map itself. How many tabs I have? We're just gonna skim over it. I'm just putting it here so I don't have to add another tab to my roster of tabs. Give it a moment to post. Now, as mentioned, the map I am using for the approximation of distance comes with the Tales of the Yawning Portal, which I believe is the identical map that goes with the Lost Mines of Phandelver, or is part of
That's a
the
map at
same.
Inkwell.
Yes, I know, that is a map of Inkwell.
I thought you were doing the Sword Coast, but
No, I'm posting Inkwell's map first so I don't have to keep a tab open. I'm
that's fair.
fine with... I cannot post this map of the Sword Coast because it's in Roll20.
Yes, I see what the disconnect was. Please continue.
Thank you. But in comparison, what looks like a shorter distance on a large-scale map like that, anybody who travels knows is still a few days at best. So I'm going to make a survival check for Roguefort. And his survival is +5. It is surprisingly not his best stat, but also not his worst, so... In the meantime, which one of you would like to keep an eye out for any natural creatures or intrusions? Who wants to do the perception check?
That lad will do the perception check. He's curious. Let's say it's been a while since he's traveled on foot like this.
Now, you're actually going to do 2 since you're doing that. The first one does not have disadvantage because it is sight-based. So roll me a perception check.
All right.
No disadvantage yet.
Okay. That is... I keep forgetting the modifier because I'm... Yeah.
That is a 22 for the audience.
Yes.
Very nice. I hope this isn't us having all of our good rolls now, and then later on it's going to go down the drain.
Yeah. You said then another perception at disadvantage?
Yeah, that's for hearing.
All right.
Because in order to keep on watch for any potential
I
threats, you
see.
use eyes and ears.
So that's a 4. That's a 4 on the die, and plus that is a 10 for disadvantage.
Audience member says you got a nat 1 earlier. It's balanced out already. Oh, one nat 1 is not enough to balance it, buddy. Okay, so that was a 10, and then the other one?
It was 11 for the other one, so it'd be 17. So with a disadvantage, it would be the 10.
It's a good thing you rolled a 10 then. If you've gotten 1 point lower, you would have already had an encounter. Instead, the first thing you note is Roguefort, outside of sticking to dirt, gravel, and more natural roads, also is tending to stick to more heavily wooded areas. As he goes on to explain, he explains this so that way you don't have as much risk with the wind, as the trees are there as a wind guard.
Mm-hmm.
This makes sense, as the first thing you pass over are a plethora of fields. They've already been harvested, so traditionally they would be towered high with wheat and corn, but you can see in different areas where people's houses are, they've planted a wall of trees as protection against the wind because of how flat that area gets.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he gets... Oh, continue.
I say Mad Lad nods at this as he is like, Roguefort is explaining all this.
And then when you get over the fields, you stick to the more heavily wooded areas. And before we continue, do you believe that your lovely little pirate boy has ever been to Buccaneer Bay?
Let me check the map one more. It is possible. He probably has passed through it, but not really stayed in it.
So you would not recognize the land you are starting to cross over into.
No.
However, once you get to a nice, dark, woodsy area where there is a good portion of trees and you've seen a couple of birds here and there that are finally starting to crack out of sleep, crack out of migration, get some food. And this is where you'll make camp for the evening. In a bundle of trees, and Roguefort, well, he does start unpacking some things. He looks at you. You need to roll an insight check real quick, because he's not going to say it immediately.
Let's see. What's your insight again? Okay. That's a 12.
Nope. 12 is not bad, because it's not like he's hiding anything.
Mm-hmm.
It is an inquisitive look that is asking whether you would like to unpack, whether you'd like him to unpack, whether you want both of you to set up camp, or if you need help. This is the look of an adult of, would you like to set this up or do you want me to? Do you want to do this together? Just a parent look.
I can set up my own stuff if you want to set up your stuff.
He nods, he doesn't question it, and he does indeed set up his own part of camp.
Mm-hmm.
Sets up the sleeping mat, sets up the tent, and you're used to seeing him as that 3 foot or so more cutesy fairy appearance,
Mm-hmm.
but seeing his various limbs get to work setting up the tent, driving in stakes, getting the mat unrolled, and just getting everything else set aside,
Mm-hmm.
it does look a little more natural and a little nicer seeing those limbs move as opposed to the 3 foot tall one. There was always something about it, maybe the height difference, that just felt weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this time his long limbs fit. It looks fine, and he unpacks with no trouble.
Yeah, if he glances over at say Mad Lad as he unpacks, it probably surprises him again because Mad Lad seems like to be a natural at this. Like he knows exactly how to undo make up the tent. He knows exactly how to basically set up his whole own full side. Like he's done this a million times before.
There's just a little hum of contentment at that, but then he gets to setting up your campfire for the evening. And because it's still very strong and windy, even though you're protected by the trees, he does a decent job setting up a sort of guard around the fire as a means to, just help it last a bit longer, not take as much wind.
Yeah, Mad Lad does pipe us ooh, can I try something, please? Please, please. As Mad Lad holds his hand
Aww.
cupped, and he looks like he's very concentrating very hard as he's like as a little flame is produced in his hand.
You see the way Roguefort's googly eyes do slightly dilate at that, but he nods, and he does a good job positioning himself in a way that, if you should try it, he's gonna make sure no extra wind gets through.
Yeah, Mad Lad is basically using produced flame to start this fire.
And with the appropriate amount of protection you don't even need to roll intelligence to know if you didn't try shielding the campfire, you would not be able to start a fire in this kind of wind.
Fair enough.
Even magically.
Mm-hmm.
So you do get the fire started,
Yeah.
and
Mad Lad is like, yeah!
Roguefort looks pleased with you at that. Very nicely done. Did not expect you to pick up Produce Flame.
Yeah. I said I did a little bit of reading while I was at school, and it's like Rangers say I didn't realize this until after I found out I could produce magic, but if Rangers are exposed to druid sort of magic, sometimes they get some druid cantrips, and I guess because Carmenia was a druid, also magical forest I was in while I first had my magic, I was able to do it.
As you are mentioning druids and druidic magic, Roguefort very casually extends one of his Sherbert claws and is going to cast Druidcraft. And he makes what looks like a handful of candied violets.
Ooh, you could do it too?
He nods, and you can very clearly see in his expression that he would be smiling.
That's so cool. I can also do this. As okay, what effect does he want to do?
Oh no.
Because he's casting thaumaturgy.
Oh dear.
So the sound of thunder cracking is just suddenly sounds as he claps his hands.
Roguefort flinches at that, not in a bad way, just in a startled way, akin to a cat. Fair enough, he has been put off by the wind all day, and that would sound very natural for a storm.
Mm-hmm.
But he does give you a tiny excited clap with the lower arms.
Yeah.
Oh no, That's a cute visual. His lower set clapping while the upper one still has the candied violet druid craft. Oh no, that's cute.
Yes, it would be.
Very impressive.
Yeah. I found out that one later. I was trying to work on my magic, and that one sort of just came out.
Sometimes certain abilities come more naturally to us than others.
Yeah, it took me long enough. I mean, and Mad Lad Red comes over and nuzzles Mad Lad. It's just like, I don't know. I've been with Red for a while, but the magic just didn't pop up.
That does tend to take a bit longer, that. The basics can usually be very easily grasped given enough time and effort, but when it comes to the bond made between a ranger and their companion, or a ranger and their swarm, that takes time. More time than you would expect.
I guess so. As Mad Lad gets licked by Red.
Roguefort very briefly just goes,
Aww.
Do you want to make another perception check?
sure.
Because I don't remember if he's actually seen this or not.
No, that was a nat 1 earlier. He didn't see it before.
No, it's something else. I can't remember if he's actually saw this or not. Already.
Are you talking well, that's okay. So
You actually noticed two things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very sure if he's noticed that Mad Lad's hair is actually covered in gunpowder, hence why it's gray. So as Red is licking it and nuzzling it, it's coming off Mad Lad, and Roguefort sees the blonde hair underneath. But also,
Buddy.
he noticed quickly, doesn't he usually wear a headband most of the time? And he notices that his headband is actually around his neck, and that's not a headband, that's a bandana.
Aw. Yeah, no, he would notice that. He wouldn't really pay too much mind aside from thinking, oh, cute.
Mm-hmm.
But as Mad Lad is being nuzzled and licked, Roguefort is, of course, he's going to settle himself to a point where he doesn't get fully to Mad Lad's eye level because he can't bend over the fire like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not necessarily built like a twig, but if you've looked at wasps, they're not built with the capacity to bend.
Yeah, they can't.
At least not very much.
Yeah.
So he seats himself and he asks,
Now, another important thing for rangers is you need to keep an eye out for any threats that would come to attack you or your party in the lateness of the evening. So, that being said, would you like to stay night watch tonight, or would you like me to take first shift?
I could take the night shift. I've done it before.
You absolutely positive?
Uh-huh.
Alright. Now, one thing you will have to keep in mind is you have noticed the wind, oui?
Yeah, it's really strong.
You have noticed it's not very good for you to be able to speak or to hear, yes?
Yeah.
You will need to rely more on sight than anything else.
Mad Lad nods.
Keep in mind, you look relatively human, and I do not know if humans really exactly get the advantages of seeing in the dark or not.
I'm a toon human. Yeah, we don't get dark vision.
Toon or not, they usually do not see humans with too many different abilities unless it's, talking about warriors and wizards. And beside the point.
Some of them can cast dark vision and everything.
just Roguefort dismisses the caster talk, but he does actually pull up. He does in fact pull up a bundle of. You notice it appears to be very nicely packed meat, actually. And he's going to go ahead and he's going to help start dinner. And I'm going to roll him a survival check for how well he can cook.
Yeah, and that lad, in the meanwhile, will bring the stuff that he got Red, because Red can't eat meat. They say Red is a vegetarian. And so is Little Snap, so he has brought plenty of food for both of them.
Okay, so that's a 5 for survival, and he's actually using chef's tools at the moment, which you notice he didn't really have before. So that's going to be, we're adding dexterity, that's a +4.
And also, not proficiency. If he's proficient in it, then yes.
He's not proficient yet.
Fair enough.
So, cooking utensils. So, I believe that's what it's called, cooking utensils, because I doubt it's called a chef's kit.
Nope, yep. Cooking utensils.
Thank heavens he had the +4, otherwise it would have turned out very average.
Yeah.
What you wind up with over the course of time is not just meat. He winds up making a small portion of... Roll me a nature check, see if you recognize the smell.
Alright. Let's see.
Thankfully, smell is not something put at disadvantage. You're just,
That's just a 10.
It smells a little different, so you don't think it's deer meat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely not fish, because fish just looks different.
Oh, yeah.
This certainly isn't a form of serpent or reptile, because it's bigger meat than that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not sure.
Yeah,
At the end... Continue.
Yeah, Madeline's probably gonna cock his head. It's just like, what kind of meat is that?
Oh, this is quail meat.
Oh, quail. So it's bird
Have
meat.
you ever had quail before?
I don't think so.
Let this be a good first impression then.
Mm-hmm.
As he begins to prep what appears to be... He takes the pieces out more than anything else. He's not roasting them whole.
Mm-hmm.
So what you appear to be getting is think of it more like a chicken soup, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's made with quail instead.
Yeah. Madeline's really happy about that. He's just smiling really big as he's watching him cook the soup.
Like, there's chicken, there's some potatoes, there's some onion.
Yeah. What's his passive insight?
That's his passive wisdom, so... that'd be a 10 plus his insight. Unfortunately, his passive insight is not as great as his passive perception. That's a 12.
I mean, it still makes it. Roguefort, while he's cooking, like, glances up at Madeline, and yeah, even you could tell that this kid is very happy and stuff. He's very excited for trying something new. But he's also, you could definitely tell there is sort of an air of nostalgia in his eyes. It's just sort of that smile as just remembering good times.
Roguefort doesn't point it out verbally, but there is a look that shares a similar feeling. Roguefort, as a ranger, he doesn't really prefer civilization. He can stay there for a short time, but at the end of the day, he has to return to the wild. It's not like he's irreversibly called there. It's not like he can't leave it, but the wild is his home. And he has better memories of cooking out in nature, watching different animals and birds, hunting with a few other rangers before things went wrong. Don't think about that, don't think about that, don't think about that. But he has fond memories similarly attached, and so he doesn't really question or even point them out. It's not a moment he feels needs to be too openly discussed. It's just that silent agreement. Just, this is nice.
Yeah. But
hopefully it stays this quiet.
Yeah, but Madeline does say something. Thanks again for doing this. Thank you.
Oh, but of course.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's nice having a teacher again.
It's not often I'm exactly called a teacher, so to speak.
I mean, you are. You're helping me. You're helping me with my powers and being a ranger.
We haven't even really gotten to that part of the trip yet, but I am glad that you see this as helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bring back some good memories.
Honestly, I do not know how I, as a teacher, would even remotely compare to my old mentor, Delora.
What was she like?
He kind of pauses a moment, and I need to make him a roll. The first one is unfortunately a wisdom save.
Oh, Roguefort.
Mm. He kind of pauses, and you watch him sort of sit on non-existent haunches and just sort of think. You can see the way that his 5 eyes look this way and that, but roll me an insight.
All right. Alrighty. Just want to make sure. Oh yeah. Okay. This is gonna be interesting. Starting off interesting today. I see. So that's a 22.
Oh. Okay. Well, that's actually a good thing because this time you had a decent DC to beat.
Mm-hmm.
At first, when Roguefort was bringing this up, there was a feeling of fondness in his expression. A feeling of reaching for something, reaching for a memory that then stops. And then hits air. It's like when you try to reach for where you know something was and you find nothing. Like if you think you have an ingredient on the shelf and you go reaching for it, but then you realize, oh, I ran out of that. I haven't bought more yet. That's my mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Except in this instance, it's not an ingredient. It's a memory. A memory Roguefort no longer has. As he sort of glances himself over and he gets that thoughtful look that hangs for a little too long. As he then says, a bit more quietly,
You know, I haven't thought about her in so long. I don't really remember what she was like.
Huh. That lad is not very sure how to take that. It's just like, he was originally happy, but now he's sort of forgotten. That's not exactly normal, but at the same time, he's never really met anyone from the Feywild other than Roguefort and gotten to really know anyone from there.
oh,
So,
God bless, yeah.
so it's just like, he doesn't want to push it that he doesn't really want to push it. So he's like, well, it's okay. Maybe the memory will come back later.
And Roguefort glances up for a moment. And there is only a split second, and this is the only part you would have noticed getting past 20, where he doesn't look like that self-assured, confident, calm face. There's that look of genuine confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's covered by that calmness again. And that is the only time you realize maybe he doesn't always have the most confidence or know the most of what he's doing, like he says. Huh. But he nods and instead just settles back toward his... he takes his portion of quail soup and... well, stew, more like. And he just sort of sits and... yeah, no, he just nods. He just eats in quiet. You just have your dinner in peace and quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bad Lad just sits there and eats.
And against the cold, howling wind, having a nice hot bowl of quail stew with onion, potato, all that. It's nice. You still have to keep yourself protected against when the occasional cold wind tries to get under your skin, but aside from that, you're at least fed enough you don't have to bring down your rations any.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you do have first shift, and as Roguefort, of course, carefully pulls the pot of stew off of the fire so you know it doesn't burn while you sleep.
Yeah.
And he settles into rest. You were on the first night watch shift.
Mm-hmm.
Perception at disadvantage, please.
Alrighty.
You have to depend on your sight and sense of smell, but hearing, unfortunately, is still a crucial part, so that is the only reason you still have to roll with disadvantage. You can't just cut out not hearing.
Alright. Okay. What was the modifier again?
Perception at disadvantage.
Okay, perception. Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I got a 5 and a 17. So 5 plus 6 equals 11.
Yeah, I suppose that would work out for your shift then. So, you take the first night shift, and I would like you to roll me 3d20.
Alright, I'll just roll it right here since I don't have 3d20 on me.
Because the weather will change after your shift. So this is how it is changed. The wind quiets down, so at the end of your shift, well, Roguefort won't have to roll at disadvantage, but the wind finally dies down to a manageable degree, and you can hear yourself think, finally.
Yeah.
But nothing happens. You don't really hear anything like crickets or frogs because it's still cold enough they haven't really woken up yet. But you do hear the occasional owl, so there's that. Just occasional. Woo. Woo. But nothing bothers you. And by the time it's time for you to wake up Roguefort and for him to take shift, the wind is no longer howling. So he won't have any trouble listening for any threats coming to your campsite.
Which will be very helpful. Mad Lad was like, he looked confident while Roguefort was looking at him, but he immediately was a bit nervous when Roguefort actually settled in. He's like, oh god, with this wind, I'm hoping something doesn't catch us.
And then I assume you wake up Roguefort for his shift so you can knock out.
Yeah, and Mad Lad just goes over. It's like, Roguefort, your turn. Come on. And
he tries to roll over.
Mad Lad grabs his arm and starts one of his arms and just starts pulling it.
Roll me an athletics check.
I mean,
he's not gonna struggle. I just want to see how easily you can move him.
I mean, please roll good.
Please roll good.
No. I mean, it's a 10. It's a 10. It's a straight 10.
That's not enough, homie. He's 10 feet tall and you are but a little boy. It's like Lilo being crushed by Nani in Lilo and Stitch. Like, Simba trying to interact with Mufasa, you are trying to push and pull. There is no give whatsoever. Even though he looks like he's made out of twigs and paper mache, no, you can't move him. But eventually he gets up on his own and you fall backwards because you were pulling so much.
Yeah, good thing he did, because the next thing Mad Lad would try is pile driving him. He would be the kid thing that is just like leaps onto the parent.
Alright, so eventually Roguefort slowly wakes up, and when he does, gets up, pats Mad Lad on the scruffy gunpowder dusted head. And then he takes his spot, and you get to knock the fuck out.
Yeah, Mad
And
Lad.
I get to roll in perception normally.
Yeah, and Mad Lad goes back to his tent and curls up with Red with just blankets between them and just falls asleep.
Oh, thank heavens. I thought it was going to be another Nat 1. I was feeling it. I was prepared. But no. Also, give me a second.
Alright, I'm going to go to the restroom for 1 second. I'll be right back.
No, that's okay. We'll just have a brief break then. Break time!
Alright, I am back. Oh no, what happened? I left for 5 seconds. Everyone is gone. Hoosh, are you still there? That's fair.
All
Hello.
right. Hello, I'm back. Break time is over.
I didn't know if you actually went on break. I did hear it before I had to go. I was
Oh,
confused for a minute. I was like, where did they go?
I'm sorry.
No.
No, that was our break for now.
That was fair. That's fair.
Are we ready to continue?
Yes, I am ready to continue.
All right. Then you wake up to a relatively clear day. Nothing appears to have woken you up in the dead of night trying to ambush Roguefort. Nothing's gone wrong and the wind is quiet.
Mm-hmm.
There still are a few clouds in the sky, but not enough to keep the sun from shining. Still chilly, but you can see sunlight. That's enough.
Indeed. Having some rays of sunshine is always nice.
And you wind up having a breakfast that is also quail eggs. So you think you might have stocked up on some quail before leaving.
Yeah, you can tell that. But Smadla is not complaining.
You know, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it'd take a lot for them to fuck up making eggs, but
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even need to roll a survival check. That'll be funny later. Just like, it's Sunnyside eggs. How could he mess them up?
Exactly.
But eventually he helps pack everything back up, and you get moving again. So he's going to take point. And since you have no disadvantage, if you would roll a perception check to keep watch while you're moving, that'd be great.
Alrighty.
He's going to roll the survival checks so you keep moving.
Oh boy. That's another 10, my guy.
Thankfully, another one that beats it meets it.
Yes.
For context, when I ask for perception checks on patrols or for someone to keep an eye out, that is to make sure you don't get ambushed by anything. If you got below a 10, that would be an encounter.
That's fair. It is meeting and beating it.
And thankfully, Roguefort doesn't get lost. Though to him, it's not a bad thing for him to get lost, but the issue is that's not part of the camping trip.
Yeah.
So you manage to get through the relatively heavier forested area and enter a thinner section of forest. There's more space for the sun to poke through. Not as many trees, it's more bushes and berries and that kind of thing. And Roquefort actually does pause here and there to pick some ones that are actually edible. So, and he does indeed point those out to you. He points out what is and is not edible, what looks similar and what doesn't. Because you are, a pirate, and sometimes it's difficult telling land plants apart.
Yeah, indeed. He's much better at telling sea plants and or fish apart. What's venomous, what's not, what's poisonous, what's not. But Mad Lad definitely like munches on the plants that are edible and stuff just to get a taste of what they are, what they taste like, and hand some to Red too.
And if you do almost reach for something that's very much no, 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 don't eat that, Roquefort is very quick to make sure you don't touch it.
Which is fair.
He doesn't even say it. It's just that quick hand gesture, the shake of the head of no. Just a single shake of no.
Yeah, Mad Lad just gets a puts his hand back. He's like, okay.
The only time he makes a note to speak is when he points out a form of ivy that could be used to coat arrowheads. Not to actually kill something, but to make the arrow wound be as annoying as possible by itching and burning.
Mad Lad looks at this, and he's just like, this would be helpful. But at the same time, I use bullets, and I'm pretty sure that wouldn't work in my case. But he's definitely gonna take note on that for later.
Yeah. You use bullets, so you don't have use for it right now, but you do see Roguefort actually does take some for later.
Mm-hmm. Mad Lad nods at this.
If you would also roll an insight check before you get moving, as you're going to start traveling into the evening now.
Alrighty. Okay. 1 second. Alright. Wait, that's a... yeah. 16.
There's a split second you're wondering why anyone would want to put that kind of thing on an arrowhead to make someone suffer. And then you remember two things. Firstly, you've seen some awful pirates in your brief time on this world.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There are some people that would.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, his mother was the pirate queen, so sometimes she had to take tactics like that.
Yeah, and the second thing you remember is Roguefort doesn't just hunt animals.
Mm-hmm.
So you try not to think about that too much. But Roguefort continues the hike.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you're traveling in the dark and it is starting to get lower, I'm going to do the 3d20, and since it is getting dark, we'll see how the weather is before I have you roll your perception checks.
Alright.
So weather is still fine. The issue is, however, while you do have a light source with you, it is dark around you.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to roll a perception check.
Alright.
Not at disadvantage because you're not in complete darkness. You do have a light source. The issue is the rest of the forest is dark.
Yeah.
And I am going to roll Roguefort a survival check.
Alright.
Since you are once again entering a denser part of underbrush.
That's a 14.
Thank heavens.
Mm-hmm.
You managed to make the next leg of your journey in due time, and while you hear a few things in the woods here and there, you eventually realize, that's just nocturnal animals. I'm fine. There's nothing that's gonna get us here. We're fine, right? We're totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, Roguefort stops, and you make camp for the evening. Now, Roguefort's the one to offer first shift this time, as he goes,
You did lose a bit more sleep than I would have preferred on that previous night, so I will take the first shift if you would like to rest first.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
He nods, and you get to rest first, which means he gets to make the perception check.
Nice.
Your turn. Perception check.
Yep.
And since it's the end of the evening, roll me 3d20 afterward.
Alright, 1 second.
Also, if you do hear any chewing noises, which you shouldn't, but my condolences if you do.
I don't hear anything right now.
I have an apple puchki.
Nice.
apple donut sort of over here, a pastry, if you will.
Oh, pastry sounds really good, but that's a 16.
Yeah? Alright, roll me 3d20 for the weather. Nothing happens.
All right. Oh boy.
Crisp, clear weather.
Nice.
In fact, when you wake up, it is actually sunshiny out. Not a single cloud.
Yeah, Mad Lad is just stands in the sunbeam for a little bit, and Red does
And you
too.
and you do see that Roguefort's dinner critter swarm, which is mostly just stayed by him, but soaked up the environment. Most of them have fallen asleep in sunbeams around him somewhere. They don't stay under the tent.
That's fair. That's valid.
You could see like Blanca, the white Strabby's just sitting there in what looks like it used to be an actual strawberry patch, just sitting directly under the sun. A few of the others, you could see the dragon roll sushi dinner critters are laying on branches that have more sunlight on them than others.
Aw.
Just most of them are just taking advantage of their sizes to be able to find the best cat spots to sit.
Which is amazing.
One of the Dragon Roll sushi, Charzushi specifically, actually sleeps with what you almost think is a tongue, but you realize is part of the sushi sticking out. But it does
Aw.
look like a tongue, so it looks like it fell asleep with a flip.
Oh, it's adorable.
Of course, eventually, it gets time to get up in the morning, have yourself some. You actually this time you do have roast quail for breakfast, the whole bird. So each of you get one bird.
Nice.
They're small, but for you it still is a fully sized bird. It's good though.
Mm-hmm.
And you continue moving. Now you've made enough distance. You're actually close enough. You start to see the type of forest you get through change. It is, how do I describe it? It isn't necessarily fully tropical, but you know how when you're traveling cross country, you can tell when you start getting close to the coast?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You are starting to notice.
Mad Lad is smiling as he notices that they're getting close to the coast, and he's just like taking a deep breath in and starting to smell like the fresh ocean air and everything.
And Roguefort, of course, also seems to be relaxing more. You, as the character, don't know this, but Roguefort's preferred terrain is, in fact... Well, his preferred terrain is up for the air. I'm not saying anything on that, but he was raised around the coast, so he actually enjoys it immensely. Or he was raised around a coast. Not your coast, a coast.
No, that's fair.
But he actually just stands there and he feels the wind for a moment. He shakes his wings a bit, and then he turns and he asks,
Would you like to try and fly the rest of the way? Or do you not have a pair of wings to assist?
I think say Mad Lad looks at Red, and Red shakes their head a bit. Red's still a baby, technically. They can't fly yet.
Would you like me to try?
Huh?
I could try and lift you so that you could get a little air, feel what it is like before the wings develop.
Oh! Mad Lad looks at Red too. You can lift both of us?
I can try.
I mean, sure, if you want to try. What do you think, Red? And Red just make a happy bug noise.
yeah, Roguefort knows that feeling. I have to make him another wisdom save, though. I didn't add the modifier, but okay, that was a nat 20.
That's 20!
I don't even need to make the memory
No,
roll.
you don't.
So, Roguefort, he walks over, and the way he reaches his multiple arms down, mostly to lift Red, but to make certain that you are appropriately sandwiched between him and Red so you're supported,
Uh-huh.
it looks practiced. It looks habitual. It looks like he's used to that.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know why. But for the viewers, if there was ever to be a visual with it, there is a brief moment, a memory in the back of his mind of him as a little uncanny looking fake grub actually being held up while one of his parents flies around, with his grubby little hands reaching out as he's going this way and that.
Oh, adorable.
And he's going to, God bless his heart, he's going to try. He's going to try athletics. He hasn't done this in a very long time, but we'll try.
Yeah.
God bless.
Uh-huh.
He gets a +3 to athletics. He's actually proficient in it, but dear God, let's see if it works the first time. Shockingly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see the way that both of his pairs of wings actually, because as a sugar plum fairy, he has multiple wings in one set.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see the way that the dragon or dragonfly-esque wings and the way that the fairy fly-esque wing actually come out and about. It's like a thread between the two, but it's not one half and the other. It's not like he's split down the middle.
Uh-huh.
It's sort of like they're layered on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the dragonfly wings have feathers to them, which is funny considering his little capelet of natural-looking feathers, or like feather growth. And it takes a tiny bit of effort, but you only notice that tiny exertion as Red does feel his little feetsies leave the ground.
Yeah, Mad Lad probably just like he doesn't know this, but definitely mimicking young Roguefort as he like has his hands out too as they're starting to fly.
And the ground gets further and further away, and the ocean, which you can just see in the distance, suddenly gets bigger in your view and bigger as you get higher up. Now, Roguefort, on the one hand, he is a fairy, so traditionally he would fly higher than, most humans could traditionally breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows not to do that to you, so there is only a certain height which you go. It's very Kiki's Delivery Service flight.
Yeah.
And you can feel the wind under your arms, in your hair. You can feel it go through a little of Roguefort's clothes as well. And then there's Red. How is Red feeling?
Red is having the time of his life. He's very much enjoying all this.
I'm imagining the way the legs are just kind of curled in, like Red is wanting to do the flight movement but doesn't have it yet.
Yeah, it doesn't have it. It's just like he can't say. He almost like wants to spread out his tiny little wings, but doesn't want to disrupt Roguefort.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He is, in fact, carrying you with not too much difficulty, but even with how long his arms are, it would be for the best that Red does not open up his shell with him, because that will dislodge at least one pair of arms.
Yeah, exactly.
But due to flight speed, you actually make much more of your speed and much more of your distance than you expect. So by the time you actually do get to the coast, it's not even night yet. The sun is only just starting to set.
Yeah, Mad Lad probably as their land is just like, and when he like Roguefort he's like, woohoo! Oh my gosh, that was so much fun! I haven't been able to do that forever.
I am glad you enjoyed it, Monsieur Lad.
Yeah.
And how did Monsieur Red feel about that?
He says as he bends down.
Red is just making little jumps like a kid. Is just like very much chittering happily.
Oh, and the way that Roguefort's antennae just twitch here and there. You can see he looks perfectly content by that. Happy as a clam.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks over the ocean. You all stand on this lovely hand-drawn beach. The colors are slightly watercolor, slightly gouache, but the waves gently lap at the shore. The colors are turning from blues to pink. The sun has yet to fully set. It hasn't even touched the horizon yet, but you've reached a good point of the coast that is far enough away from society that you could camp nearby. And Yeah, I need you to roll me a perception or an insight check. One of the two.
Alright. Probably perception because Mad Lad is just taking this in. He's very much enjoying this.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. That is going to be a 21.
It is, firstly, lovely weather for the coast. You're very glad that you got here before any ill weather moved in.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is nothing, and I do mean nothing, quite like seeing the clouds break and the sun starting to set over the rippling waves of the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, there is nothing like it.
And as you look over and you see Roguefort staring out over the sea, his expression mirrors yours. There's a familiarity and fondness there that you saw a glimpse of at the campsite, but because it wasn't really messed with or modified since it was a crucial part of his ranger upbringing, he still remembers distinctly. In the back of his mind, there is a time that he does remember, how well or how ill it depends, where a lot of his upbringing and a lot of who he was made core as a person, as a fairy, as a ranger, was along a coastal region, connected to a jungle in one area, connected to some islands, and connected to the desert on another side. The colors, of course, are like his, where they're these nostalgic, almost childish watercolors, and yet beautifully drawn lines put over a sort of storybook page look, where the ocean actually doesn't retain the fullest color out to the horizon,
Mm-hmm.
but it fades out to the watercolors fade into the sun to give the illusion that the sun is giving light. Because there is no painted color for the sun, but the paint all centers around it to give it that look of radiating light over a distinctly watercolor region. As storybooks, they don't have fully painted pages.
Oh, yeah.
At least, not Roguefort's.
Mm-hmm.
But just as you were raised around the ocean, Roguefort was raised around it as well, and he clearly doesn't get to see the coast often because this is the most zen you have ever seen him.
Yeah. And Mad Lad is just like probably standing right beside him, and it's just they're both taking this in. And Mad Lad even just takes one of his hands and just leans on him. It's like, I miss this.
And I'm going to roll one thing for Roguefort. This is thankfully not a wisdom save. Against the oven, anyway. It's against himself being soft and mushy.
You can't help it. This is a child. You shall be soft and mushy.
That's a charisma save, actually. He gets a -1 because I say so.
Yeah. Don't deceive the child. The child knows all.
1 point away from resisting. Just one. But there is a moment, and it's not long enough for you to notice it, but the way he pauses at that before one of his lower hands reaches down and just pats you on your dusty head. And he just goes,
I miss this too.
and you stand there for, you don't care what amount of time, because honestly that's what the camping trip is for.
Mm-hmm.
And just as the sun starts touching the horizon, then you decide, yeah, we need to set up camp first.
Yeah,
We still have
indeed.
a few days to go.
Exactly.
So you head away from the coast a bit, because if there's one thing you've learned about camping near a coast, you can't camp on the sand. It's
Nope.
not a solid basis for camp.
Yep. Indeed.
In the desert, where it's only sand, but maybe there, not here. Here, no. It's just it's not too solid for that. So a little ways away from the coast, you set up your tents, you set up your sleeping rolls, and this time, a few hours before dinner is served, you watch as Roguefort is going to reach into his hammer space. You haven't let me fumble in months, please. Please, Avray, let me hit a 1. And he pulls out what a... You don't even need to roll intelligence. It looks about as much like a fishing pole as you would think.
Mm-hmm.
And he just goes to the coast, finds a nice spot to sit, casts a line. And I'm just going to roll him a survival check to catch some fish.
Meanwhile, I actually gonna roll something too.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my D10? There it is. Ah, it's a 7. Meanwhile, Mad Lad goes into his hammer space, takes out a... Do you know what a deep fish, like, say, I forget exactly what it's called, like, spear is?
If you're thinking of a fishing spear or a harpoon?
It'd be more of a fishing spear.
Yeah, you could just call it a fishing spear.
I couldn't remember if it had exactly name. My brain blanked for a second. He takes out a fishing spear, and this is after he goes into his tent. He comes back out with a fishing spear and swim trunk in a swim bodysuit, and Mad Lad just dashes off and dives into the water.
Hopefully you did that a distance away from Roguefort so you wouldn't scare the fish.
Oh yeah, he knows fishing etiquette. He would.
There's a brief moment where the other dinner critters just sort of turn and watch the splash impact. One of them almost seems to look for whether you do a cannonball or not, but no, you just run on in, and it's just Yeah, Roguefort just smiles at that.
Yeah, he just dives on in.
Alright, if you're gonna try spearfishing, would you say that is a survival check, or...
I would say it would be a survival check.
Okay, roll me survival and athletics.
Alright.
If the survival check is successful, roll athletics to see if you can spear the fish.
Alright.
Roguefort's is gonna be dexterity since, fishing pole.
Alrighty.
He knows how to spearfish, but he likes pole fishing. Come on.
Mad Lad is the opposite. He loves spear fishing. Bless you. So that's a 21.
Okay, so first thing, you went into a rather clouded section of ocean. That's going to be an athletics check to see if you can spear a fish or 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Roguefort's a dexterity saving throw. So, 7.
Alright, fine. Okay. So, 22.
Roll me a d4.
Alright. Let me get his d4 out. Four. Did you hear me?
No, I did not.
Sorry, 4.
Nice. So, it takes you a minute. You don't catch them all at once. But when you're patient enough, and that had to be from being taught by your parents and some others to be patient for the kill.
For sure.
You are surprisingly quick enough on your reflex and strong enough of wrist and arm to get at least 4 fish on one spear. Not all at once. You just get pop, 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 pop.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Red's on the shore, probably playing with Blanca and everyone.
Oh yeah, no, the dinner critters, if they're not just relaxing by Roguefort, though one of them does appear to just be sitting by waiting to steal a fish, the others are just playing with Red. Look, when you fish with a cat, you're gonna see one of them go, "Can I has?"
Yeah. Indeed.
I need to roll to see how big it is. So, he rolled a dexterity save, but allow me to pull up the size chart real fast. Okay, so it would be tiny, small, medium, large. Is huge the next one?
Huge would be the next one.
We're just gonna do 6 because anything bigger than that, it would be funny, but I don't want to have you run anything bigger than that.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god. Let me look up fish creatures real quick. So you can roll some more. You can roll some more spearfishing stuff. I have to pull this up real quick.
I mean, I say I'll roll another survival.
Your survival is fine. You just need to roll athletics to see if you can actually get any.
Fair enough.
So type
And
would presumably
probably
be
not.
beast or monstrosity. So
I'd
let's
say
check
that's a-
beast.
That's a 10.
No, that's enough. Still roll a d4. They're fish. You don't have to think too much on athletics unless they're big fish.
I mean, with 4 fish in a row, that lad's probably starting to get cocky.
True. Let's see. That is not a fish. I don't know why I thought that was.
There's a lot of sea creatures you could catch.
I'm looking. Don't tempt me.
Yeah,
I really wish there was a way on 5e to actually sort out what... Okay, so let's see. When I read out lists, it was tiny, small, medium, large, and huge.
yeah. The next size would be gargantuan.
So I'm looking for a creature to either have at huge or one of the sea creatures to just size up. So, due to the fact that this is a larger creature, I need to make him a strength saving throw. Because while he successfully is going to pull something up, he needs to save against being pulled in.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a 1d20 plus 3.
He could be. I mean, there is a huge crab.
I know. As you're popping fish along, roll me a perception check. See if you start noticing the struggle here.
Lad will see if he notices the struggle. What is that? Is that a... Okay, alright. That's probably pretty good. That's a... what's the modifiers? Okay. That's a 22.
As you're catching more fish, you're enjoying yourself. You look over, and there's a moment you see Roguefort's fishing pole twang in that very toony similar style. Oh, got a bite.
Yeah.
He goes to reach for it, and you watch as the fishing rod damn near snaps forward, and he actually has to dig his feet in to not fly off the coast. There are drag lines as you watch. As at first, this seems like a cartoony, funny moment. Then you see the drag line start forming, and see he's being pulled by the strength of whatever's dragging the fishing line.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, that lad uses Expedition's Retreat to go over to Roguefort, as Mad Lad also calls Red, help! As Red is immediately called over by his side to give Mad Lad the help action to pull Roguefort back.
Roll me athletics individually for both of you, or if you want to have Red assist you, you can roll with advantage.
Yeah, I was gonna roll with advantage because I think
Go ahead.
I think I have a higher modifier. No, we have the same modifier technically. All right.
And I'm just marking things. Don't mind me. This is fine.
Do I want a 3 or want a 3? So it's 3 plus 3 equals 6.
That is your choice.
It's a 3 or a 3?
Uh-oh. So, you try, and Roguefort, he's maintaining his strength save, so he's not pulled in. You are doing nothing. It is only this moment you realize, you are reminded how small you are, and no amount of training with pirates or fishermen or anything can prepare you for the fact that this thin, thread-waisted, wasp-looking dinner critter sugar plum fairy is actually tugged out of your grip further down the coast.
Mad Lad probably does call to the dinner critters like, guys, help!
Oh no, they're already there, but they're actually not helping Roguefort himself. They are staying over the water for some reason.
Ah, there. Mad Lad is
The ones that are land-based stay by him, but the ones that can fly, they are hovering as if waiting for something.
Yeah, Mad Lad is probably gonna try again with Red's help to pull him back. Probably more with Red's strength.
You get one more shot. Just one.
Come on, dice. Okay. That's 11 on the first roll. Is that a... Okay, that was not... Alright, so it's 11 plus 3, so it's 14.
You're at least not immediately yanked off him. That's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
He still is somewhat being dragged, and I need to make him another strength saving throw. But since you're assisting him, he'll make that with advantage.
Mm-hmm.
As you are one turn away from entering initiative with your new catch. However, if he fails this, you will all be in the water.
Yeah. Oh, thank God.
heavens he doesn't.
Yeah, thank God.
Finally, he stops being dragged, and you can see how he's slowly reeling in, but you can hear how even this Fey-made fishing pole is struggling against the strength of whatever he's caught.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the way the fishing pole yanks this way and that, but still tries going back toward the ocean, and he refuses to let it go.
Yeah, though Mad Lad understands this. He wouldn't want to let go of Big Catch either.
And you can even see it in Roguefort's eyes, in all his real and fake eye spots. Yeah, no, this is a matter of pride now, motherfucker. He's not letting that thing go. Fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a bit more reeling. You can see his upper two arms are trying to help support the pole and keep it from breaking. It's not the threat of it, but you know, he can't really hold on to the handle with multiple hands.
Yeah.
And I am going to go ahead and... Those are dinosaurs. We're not touching dinosaurs.
No.
Sorry, list. Anyway, so we have a number. Would you like me to roll, or would you like to do the honors and roll what we're getting?
It's your fish. Is a you roll.
It'll be a d12 then. If it lands on 12, then I'll pick from the list. That's a 2.
All right.
Give me a second to check real quick. I want to check to make sure I have the region of the creature correct. So. Oh, I typed what instead of where. Oopsie doodle. Okay, so that one I actually have to cut out because that is not appropriate to the coast. That's my mistake. Unfortunately, I get to roll a d10 now.
Fair. It's all right.
9. What's it? Number 9. Ah. Okay. We're gonna do a... So we have 1, 2, 3. We have... That's a 1d4. That's a 1. That would be... He pulls once, pulls twice, and looking at Roguefort's spell list, he is going to... After it pulls him forward a little bit more, he yanks! And then you see this huge shadow crest from the water. And unfortunately for you, this is a familiar silhouette. A sleek body, a sharp fin, a pointed snout, rows upon rows of sharp teeth, and a mouth big enough to swallow multiple children. and adults. What you are looking at is a giant shark.
Nice.
I would like you to roll initiative!
Woo! Of course, at least I'm bringing the nat 1 here, so technically 5.
Now keep in mind, he doesn't pull this out of the water, so unless either someone gets yanked in by the fishing rod, looking at Roguefort, or you decide to shoot the motherfucker or try to stab it, your best bets are just gonna be,
Yeah.
long range, or get in the water and pray that you don't fit in its
Yeah.
mouth. So, let's see. I'm rolling Roguefort's first, and his initiative is +4. Okay. God bless your soul. Okay, let me pull up a notepad so I can write down initiative. Hey, this will be at least fitting enough for Roguefort to get that level at the end.
Yeah,
Even though
exactly.
above board, we're not using FPSs to level. This is just like me saying a haha funny excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Roguefort's initiative is 15. Mad Lad's is 5. Is it 5? What's your initiative?
I got a nat 1. And then
Plus.
I have the +4.
Okay, so Mad Lad, bless your heart. And I'll say red moves on your turn, so.
Yeah, red moves on my turn. That's how that works.
So, giant shark. What's your initiative, homie? Let's see. Huge beast. Okay, so your initiative, that's dexterity. You get +0, thank fucking God.
Mm-hmm.
Apologies for the language. This is gonna be a rough fight.
It's gonna be a big fight. A huge fight, you could almost say.
Hey, that's an 8. The good news is Roguefort moves first. The bad news is the shark moves before you.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this above board. The giant shark. Firstly, this is not a session that can kill anybody. This is just a for fun FPS. But, they hurt a lot.
No,
So,
I know. Yeah, I know this. Yes.
the good news is, if you stay on the coast, you can just shoot it, hurt it with spells, do whatever. This is perfect practice. The bad news is, if Roguefort gets yanked in the water, which he's going to be holding onto that fishing pole with one of his pairs of arms, he might just go through Pinocchio's issue with Monstro. He might just take the whale in the puppet bit.
Yeah.
Because that mouth is more than big enough to fit a 10-foot snack that is literally made from parts of ice cream and sushi.
Yeah.
Like, it still is meat at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, that's also,
Yeah.
But hey, if you do catch this, this'll definitely be a story.
It would.
So, Roguefort moves first, and one of his pairs of hands is occupied with the fishing pole because he doesn't want to let the shark go. Because now it's a matter of pride. Now it's a matter of dignity.
Yes.
Like, he could. Feasibly, he could be like, okay, this is too much, I'll let you go and catch something smaller. But this is Roguefort needs to one-up everybody over here. This is Mr. Cannot be shown up in the slightest, even at a birthday party.
Yeah.
He's not letting the shark go. So, issue with that is, that means he has to use his upper arms to carefully pull out his hunting rifle and try to take aim. There's a downside to that. Because of his funny sword, he has disadvantage on shots from his hunting rifle.
Uh-huh.
Because the sword wants to be used.
Yeah.
So, that is going to be 2d20 plus 7. So, 2d20 plus 7. What is the giant shark's AC? That hits! I was hoping its AC wasn't higher. We'd have an issue. So, that would be a 19 at disadvantage. So, that hits. And he gets a +2 to whatever damage he does, because his fighting style is archery. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll the damage. But give me a sec. With his bonus action, he's going to try and use Ensnaring Strike.
Ooh, nice.
So he's going to expend a spell slot. Let me see if he... You know what? Yeah, we're going to use one of our higher level spell slots. So screw it. We don't have too many at this level, but we could... This is a huge shark. We're gonna use it.
Yeah.
So that'll be... Firstly, I need to roll the damage because this is gonna hit either way you slice it. So that is 2d10 plus 4 plus 2. So... And it sure is fascinating watching one pair of hands cling for dear life onto that fishing rod and the other reach for his back for his hunting rifle and his bolt. Well, you notice he doesn't really reach for bullets. Huh. Funny that.
Fair enough.
So, 2d10 plus 4 plus 2, piercing damage. So, that is 19 total damage. That brings it down to... I'm just going to write its hit points down on a separate piece of paper because I don't have it on Roll20.
Nah,
So
you're
give me
fine.
just minus 19 is... It is now down to 107 hit points.
Like, we're gonna be fine. We can do that.
The good news is it can't get on land, but the first thing is Roguefort does need to roll a strength save for himself maintaining the fishing pole, because he is choosing to keep hold of it rather than let go. So.
And Matt and Red can give him the help action. Red is holding him back.
2d20 plus 3. Oh,
Yeah!
that's a good thing you did that. That's a nat 20. That means he won't have to make the save next turn. So good.
Yeah.
Now the shark needs to make the strength save. The shark, however, gets a plus 6. So. It is not ensnared or restrained in the slightest, which makes sense. So, thankfully, the spell isn't wasted. So if he keeps concentrating on it, he can just try again next turn. But I do believe he does have extra shots he can take. So let's see. He's taken one shot. How many extra attacks does he get at this level? Just one.
No.
Just one, God bless. And it's still at disadvantage.
No, I feel that. Well,
2d20 plus 6. So, because I'm just combining the 4 plus 2.
yeah.
10's not gonna cut it. The first shot you know landed because you happen to see it. You saw that little flicker of painted light that showed it penetrated the hide. The second shot hit the water.
I see.
So, unfortunately, Roguefort's shots did not do the best. And that was unfortunately his turn. So, next up on our list is the shark, and it's going to do a strength check.
I think you skipped my turn.
No, you're at the bottom of the list.
I thought the shark already made the strength. I see what you're getting. Sorry. I thought the strength save was on the shark's turn. Never mind. Continue on.
No, you're good. The strength save was against the ensnaring strike on Roguefort's turn.
That's fair. Continue on.
So the giant shark with the 8 initiative, that's before your 5, is going to make a strength saving throw. If it succeeds, it should prompt Roguefort to make a strength save himself. Because the shark isn't the shark's intelligence is 1. It's literally a beast following its base instinct. It's not intentionally being cruel, but it at least knows it can't eat food on land.
Yeah, that is true.
And it also doesn't want to give up what it's got its jaws on because it thinks, ooh, shiny.
Yeah.
So that is going to be a 1d20 plus 6. That is an 8. God bless. It actually gets reeled a little closer to shore instead of a little farther.
Woo!
Unfortunately, the closer it gets, you see it is still much bigger than you.
Yeah, indeed.
That thing could eat Red in one bite, and it wouldn't even be satisfied.
Yeah. Red is a Mad Lad is just like, man, this is like the time that I faced a Kraken with the crew.
Roguefort is just focusing, and then he glances, and you can see the way his googly eyes are glowing as he's trying to focus on his snare strike as he asks,
Sorry. What was that? Excuse me, what?
Yeah, my crew faced a Kraken once. I almost got eaten, but thankfully my aunt jumped into its mouth and saved me.
Fascinating. Let's try not to do that here. There's a lot of teeth between you and that thing.
Yeah, I know.
but that is indeed the shark's turn. So it's now your turn.
All right.
Before you do, though, let me turn off the heater because I'm realizing while this helps the mucus, I am sweating. 1 moment.
I think my husband called me. Just give me a sec.
All right, you're up.
Be right back. I think my husband called me for a second.
Okay.
Hey, babe, sorry, I was...
While Winona is gone, I'm just gonna mute so I can have another bite of my poochki.
No, it's alright. I'm still technically in the middle of the game, but, Alright, I'll call you as soon as the game's done. Alright, bye. Love you too. Bye. He's alright. Okay, so my turn.
So your turn indeed. Also, if I mute, it's just because I'm eating the poochki.
No, you're fine, because this is great, because Mad Lad, for a gift a while back, he hasn't been able to use this, but now he can, because he has a net gun ammo for his cannon. So, Mad Lad is going to try to hit this thing with a net gun.
How big is the net?
It technically doesn't say.
Okay, you could try. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Like, this is customs, like, it shoots out of his thing. But, oh, okay, that's fine. Never mind. Even, it's no effect on huge or larger. Never mind. So, Mad...
Yeah, I was... Yeah.
Alright, fair enough. Mad Lad is then gonna go with his, because he can't unfortunately do Thorn Whip, because that's too large. So, Mad Lad is going to Mad Lad takes out his pistol, which is and he actually cast Hunter's Mark on this thing.
Ooh!
Which is a black dot on it, a black spot.
Ooh! Roll me a perception check when you do that real quick.
Alright.
Also, nice touch. Above board is a pirate nerd. Nice touch.
Yeah. Yeah, his like regular ability is a bullseye. This is a black spot.
Ooh.
So Mad Lad is gonna take his first attack with his vicious pistol.
And perception check.
Alright. I'll do the attack first since I rolled for it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I rolled was unfortunately sort of low, but Mad Lad also has ridiculously high modifiers. So that's going to be a 3 plus 9. So that's a 12.
Is that for your attack?
Yeah. And then
1 point below.
Ah, dang it. And
it's AC 13, I'm so sorry.
His perception, though, is a lot higher, though, with 17 on the die plus 6 making 23.
Ooh. When you cast that, you do notice that still in its little sheath on Roguefort's belt, you do see that even in the sheet, there's the slightest flicker of blue, but you don't hear anything from it. You just see the slight flicker of blue and then it goes down again, but it is slightly glowing now.
I see. Yeah, Mad Lad knows that means he's like, I gotta finish this quick. So Mad Lad is actually gonna gonna do his action surge as a fighter.
Ooh, fair enough.
And he's gonna try to make this even hurt more with using his adept marksman ability to make a violent shot.
Ooh, okay.
Nice! That's a 19 on the die!
That'll hit.
Yeah, so this goes extra dice. So, I'll just roll it here for damage. I don't have 2d10s, so 2d10 plus, that's, say 2d10s. Wait, does he have, no, he gets that later. I was thinking of something else. But, alright, 2d10s plus 4. And then with Hunter's Mark, that's an extra d6. It's a 1. That's 16 damage in all.
$16 damage total. Let me do the math on that real quick. Okay, so alright, it has 91 hit points left.
Nice.
You managed to land a pretty serious shot on that. And while it doesn't make any sound or anything like that, the way it thrashes, you can tell that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not letting go, but you can tell that hurt.
Yeah.
Is that your turn?
Yeah, that's all I can do for right now.
Alright, top of the turn order. Roguefort needs to make another strength save.
With advantage because red.
With advantage because red. 2d20 plus 3.
Look, if Red can't fight this thing, he can at least help Roguefort.
I love that the advantage is Red keeps giving him nat 20s.
Yes.
So, he manages to maintain. Wait, wasn't it that I said last time that... Okay, because he nat 20 didn't have to roll this turn, I'll consider this for the next one. So for the next 2 turns, he will not have to roll.
That's fair.
So, first thing he's going to do is he is indeed going to take another rifle shot. That is, unfortunately, still disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
That still hits. And aside from it doing the damage, it needs to make another strength save.
Mm-hmm.
So, first thing we're doing is... Oh, that should have been plus 7, but either way it hits, so 2d10 plus 4.
Mm-hmm.
2d10 plus 4 plus 2. 18 piercing damage to start.
Nice.
That brings it down to 72. Ouch. And first thing we're going to do is, yes, we are going to do strength save for the shark first, so...
Mm-hmm.
It succeeds, so it is not restrained. However, Roguefort is going to use his Gathered Swarm ability.
Nice.
So, what he's going to do is he is going to prompt the shark to make another strength save. As the swarm, specifically the Charzushi and Samonda, and the Charmini and Zushimis, all go into the water to try and push the shark further ashore.
Woo!
Or at least further inland. Mm-hmm. It's not on the shore yet. So, it is at the moment 20 feet away from the coastline. So, it is 20 feet away from meeting sand.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is another 1d20 plus 6. And his spell save DC... That fails! And in spite of the size difference between them, You watch as the shark is pushed 15 feet further toward the inland.
Yeah.
And it looks even bigger in person. That is definitely a monstro mouth you could get lost in and have a movie about.
Indeed.
And this one, as it comes forward, you don't even need to properly see that it has scars all over. This thing's been nearly caught a lot before. Or in the very least, it's been in a lot of fights.
Fair enough. It makes it makes Mad Lad even more determined to catch this thing.
Yeah, because the dinner critters, the shark doesn't really get what's happening because intelligence won. So now it's just trying to yank what it seems to have caught back and is now struggling against whatever's pushing it.
Yeah.
But that was Roguefort's first shot. Next shot, 2d20 plus 7. Sadly, that doesn't count, but the 14 plus 7 will hit, so 2d10 plus 6. That is 14 more damage, bringing it down to 58, and it needs to make another strength save.
Yeah.
This time it succeeds, and it does actually start pushing back against the dinner critters.
Fair enough.
But that was his 2 shots, and it is unfortunately now the shark's turn. The shark is going to prompt a strength save by means of yanking, and is going to push back through the swarm since it's not, it's not actually something that can seriously hurt the shark in this state. That is a 24. Roguefort needs to make his strength save flat. So. Raggy.
Yeah.
As the shark is being pushed and pushed closer to the edge, it seems to find its strength of spirit somewhere, and the tail slashes through the water, smashes through the swarm, turning most of them back to their ethereal state, because, again, they can't really do much. It's a Swarmkeeper swarm.
Mm-hmm.
And then swims back, almost turning itself around to give itself more momentum. And because it's succeeding the save, it actually moves 15 feet further back, and with the yank, yoink! I need to roll a 1d20 for how many feet into the water he goes.
Oh no!
He is now 13, though for the sake of map simplicity, that'll be 15 feet. 13 feet away from you as he whoop, gets yanked, and unfortunately, his wings are not enough to stop the force of him being yanked into the water.
Mm-hmm.
On the shark's nest turn, if Roguefort either doesn't let go of the fishing rod or manage to pull it back, yeah, it's gonna try and eat him.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a much shinier bug, a much shinier form of bait is now in the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Roguefort, of course, splashes into the ocean. His googly eyes blink open wide, and with how dark it is under the water, because the sun is setting, mind you,
Mm-hmm.
only his eyes, the glow of the sword, how dim it is at the moment, and the gleaming eyes of the shark in the dark are the only things he can see. And Roguefort briefly realizes, just telepathically, I am in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
So, that is the shark's turn. Red is no longer helping Roguefort. Roguefort's now in the water.
Roguefort's down in the water. Mad Lad's coming up to the edge of the water, and he is switching weapons. He is like, forget about a clean kill. We just need a kill. As he takes out his hand cannon.
Ooh, nice.
And he is going to unfortunately, Red can't swim. Otherwise, he would be doing that. But Mad Lad is going to make another Abdex Markman ability, and he is going to... Let's see. I need to check something really quickly. Yeah, he's gonna go full power again. He's gonna use that marksman ability to go full power because he needs it. Come on. Come on. What's that on the roll? Okay, that's 16 on the dice. Yes.
That'll hit.
So that is gonna be that is going to be 3d8 plus 4.
All right, roll your damage.
Got one, but that's pretty good. That's 17 damage.
17 damage. Allow me to do the math. So that brings it down to 41 hit points. We are below the halfway point. The shark is not looking good.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I do not have anything else. I don't think I. Oh, we need the D6. Almost forgot the D6 from Hunter's Mark.
Go ahead. In the moment, though, you do notice that once you finally hit it with that, and it
Dang it.
sees Roguefort in the water, that brings it down to 40. Bless your
Dang
heart. It does let go of the fishing line. It has a new target, and this one is much shinier and more colorful than the other bait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roguefort is unfortunately realizing maybe 5 seconds too late that, maybe I should not have gotten yanked into the water looking like a giant-sized version of a fishing hook.
Mm-hmm.
Especially to something that is not very good, perceptively speaking, though it has a blind sight of 60 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the shark's sight is normally terrible. Unfortunately for Roguefort is very, very noticeable.
No, and I have another idea, but unfortunately I can't do it on my turn because that's it for attacks.
So is that the end of your turn, then?
Yeah, that's unfortunately all I can do for right now.
Roguefort's turn. The first thing he's going to do is, there is unfortunately just one teeny-weeny little issue, and I actually need to make him a dexterity saving throw for that. Well, the good news is Roguefort can swim.
Okay,
The problem
good.
is, while he was yanked 13 feet out, he was still yanked pretty deep into the water, and unfortunately, because he's not, good at swimming, he swims with difficult speed.
Yeah.
So, the first thing he does is it takes all his movement to try and swim back to the surface, and he tries. He tries to get the necessary momentum to fly out of the water. Problem, he's mostly made of food. Food tends to be very soggy after getting in the water. He can't fly out yet. His wings need a turn to dry off before he can, so he just tries to get 5 feet closer to the shore, please. But he's going to turn back, and he's gonna, bless his heart, he's gonna try and use the gun. The sword keeps on flickering like it wants to be used, but he's not getting near it yet.
Yeah.
So 2d20 plus 7.
Come on.
That still hits. So
Yeah.
that's a 2d7 plus 6. And a strength save. So that's 18 damage. Okay, so the water is getting significantly stained.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the blood is making it more difficult to see. 1d20 plus 6. And just a moment for the giant shark. Okay, fair enough. It succeeds the strength save. Roguefort should really stop concentrating on something it's proficient in. He is unfortunately learning this maybe a few seconds too late. But, no, he actually is going to stop concentrating on that because it hasn't worked once. Oh, wait, Hunter's Mark. How much do I add for that?
D6.
Not a lot.
It doesn't like Hunter's Mark.
No, it doesn't. It's just whittling away damage. So Roguefort is, Roguefort's trying to think on what to do because, he's hunted certain animals. The shark is a little bigger than he's used to. So, he's hunted big things before, but this is a very obvious disadvantage. So, let's see. He's going to try and fairy fire it. So it needs to make a dex save.
Yeah.
So that is... It gets +0, thank God. It's not going to nat 20 out of this one. Oh, thank God it doesn't.
Oh, thank God, yeah.
And in the dark of the water, you see the shark fin go under, and because there's so much blood in the water, you can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see, just in the distance, this ambient glow of purple and pink.
Nice.
And you also see, of course, that it highlights just how big the shark is and the fact that it is now moving.
Yeah, but we'll worry about that. Say, we don't have time to worry about all that.
Yeah, that's also going to take his other action, so he can't get the other shot in. Because unfortunately, now it's the shark's turn.
Mm-hmm.
And the shark is going to go for him. So that is 1d20 plus 9. Unfortunately, that hits.
Yeah.
That's 3d10 plus 6. It thankfully rolls like hot flaming garbage.
Mm-hmm.
But the water is starting to turn a different color. And that is still a whopping 16 damage. So 24, 23, 22, 29, 20, 19, 18! Roguefort is officially at half health. He's not doing hot.
No, he isn't.
Your turn!
How far away from me is he from shore?
About 10 feet or so. You would no longer be in the shallow water. You would have to swim.
No, that's actually perfect. He's actually perfect. Mad Lad is actually gonna do something interesting. He's gonna do a non-damaging thorn whip to pull him back onto land.
Fair enough. I do have to roll a wisdom save for something else, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, thank heavens, Roguefort resists.
Yeah, so that's a 21 to aim at him and catch him as vines spurt out from the ground, and Mad Lad is just like, he sort of uses it like a lasso in a way, as he just yanks, as he just lassos as he just lassos Roguefort and just yanks him onto the ground, back to the shore, onto the shore, because that's 10 feet.
On the one hand, that would be perfect. On the other, you need to roll strength against the shark.
Ah, I see.
Because the shark does have its jaws on him.
That's fair.
So I'll roll the shark, and whatever number it is, you have to beat it.
Alright.
Beat a 17.
Alright. So would this probably be a strength save?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a 15.
You yank, and normally this would be enough. Problem, you are yanking on him while he's still stuck in shark teeth. There is more blood in the water than when you started.
Yeah, Mad Lad is just like, ah shit.
You can also briefly hear from the earring of message, profuse swearing.
Honestly, that's fair enough.
It's not toward you, but it definitely is fascinating to hear a bunch of Sylvan just absolute sailor cursing, which does not seem like Roguefort's traditional posh image.
Honestly, Mad Lad can't blame the guy. He really can't blame him at all. Oh, Mad Lad doesn't have any...
You do have Thunder Whip around him, so you can try and yank him in next turn, but...
Mm-hmm.
You will have another chance. Don't worry.
I know he'll have another chance, and still Mad Lad's like, shit. Because he doesn't have his extra attack.
Alright, so back to the top of the turn order, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Roguefort's gonna strength to get the fuck out of that. That prompts from the shark, so the shark just needs to roll lower than an 11. No! No! Unfortunately, Roguefort is, he is a thread-waisted wasp. So, that's a delicate waist to have nearly bitten in half.
Yeah.
So Roguefort, of course, he still can't get away, so he can't move toward you. And, of course, there's the Thorn Whip that is now trying to pull him, and he gets it. He's not complaining, but also, ow! Just a fucking goofy yell of, yeah! Muffled by the water.
Say.
It's like bubbly. It's like a bubbly, goofy yell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the thing. He is unfortunately for him, he's in melee range. Fortunately for him, he has a sword that is very good at melee range.
Yeah, very much so.
We're gonna stab it instead. Oh, thank God that hit. I was prepared for it to flunk.
Yeah.
So it's 1d8 plus 4 plus 1. So. Also, by the way, are you concentrating on Thorn Whip or are you concentrating on Hunter's Mark?
Thorn Whip is actually not concentrated. It just is there.
Oh. Okay, so that'll be a plus 1d6?
Yeah, 1d6, yes.
16 damage! Of course, two of the arms are still trying to separate this humongous set of jaws. While two of the others finally pull the fine rapier of vengeance free from its confinement. Hold it up with both claws and bring it down with full force directly into the head of the shark. 16 damage. So that's 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. It has 5 hit points left on the first attack.
Oh, yes.
Roguefort is going to try one more time.
Come on, Roguefort.
So that's 1d20 plus 8.
Yes!
Alright. So 1d8 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1d6.
Yes.
I was so fucking prepared to just get 1, 1, 1, 1.
No, I was thinking the same thing, so I'm glad.
Eventually, there is... Again, you sadly can't see in the water too well. You know your Thorn Whip is around him. You can feel that in the magic. You can't see it with that magic, but you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't see what happens in the water, aside from... Roguefort did have an advantage, since it was actually lit up, but... It doesn't really... No, you know what? I'm gonna roll the advantage for funsies.
Yeah, see if you get a crit.
So,
Always go for the crit. I forgot.
For both attacks. That was the first one. First one still would have hit. No crit.
No crit. Oh well.
But eventually, the glowing stops. The water is this deep, dark color. The sun has set further, so it's a little darker, more difficult to see. And suddenly, your Thorn Whip no longer has resistance. I need to roll Roguefort a strength check to try and drag a huge shark ashore while he is being dragged by your vine. Okay, would you say that's a strength save or athletics?
I say, probably strength save. I could argue athletics too, if it's better.
He can't really. It's the same number.
Fair
It would have
enough.
been the same either way. But the only resistance you get, you eventually realize what it was from when you finally drag. That's the canines. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you're fine.
But you see him dragged up, and the first thing is, of course, oh dear God, he is so bloody.
Yeah.
The second thing is his sword is bloody too. A good portion of it washes off as it leaves the water, but some of it remains, and you realize, oh, there is no more movement in the water.
Is it dead?
Roguefort says nothing. First thing, because it hurts so much. He is going to immediately cure wounds himself second level because...
Mm-hmm.
And cure wounds is 2d8 plus 2, so... That is the worst number he could have rolled.
Yeah. Madlad, is it one?
Just
Sorry.
you first.
Madlad, once he's on shore, would have done a cure wounds also on him. He can only do it at first level right now because he's level 6.
Go ahead.
So. What's his modifier? It's a 9. It's a 9.
Okay, thank heavens. That brings him up to 31. He's only 3 hit points away from full hit points. He's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, he doesn't say anything. As you take the time to heal, you do see movement as the huge body of the giant shark slowly floats to the surface.
Bad lad, look at that. It's just like, it's silent for a second, and then he goes, "Woohoo!" and throws his hands up in the air.
Roguefort slightly tiredly also raises one claw just as if to imitate your woohoo, but doesn't do it full-heartedly because he's not used to the gesture.
Mm-hmm.
But then immediately lays down for a minute because, oh, pain.
Mad lad nods at
Starts
this.
flocking to him, the poor guy.
Yeah. Do you need more healing?
I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Just let me stay here for a moment.
Alrighty.
Oh.
Yeah. Also, Mad lad's gonna do something.
Ooh.
I need to get his hammer space. Ah, hey, that's a 1. It's a fumble. I need to get his. Oh, I forgot to get his chart out.
Well, at least somebody finally fumbled it for the first time in forever.
Yeah. Yeah, he hasn't fumbled in a long time. Ironic, Mad Lad pulls out a wooden practice saber, like pirate saber, with a burnt pattern on it. He's like, "Oh, that's not it." As he puts that away, and he tries again.
Bless his wee
Oh, it's
heart.
another fumble.
Bless his wee heart.
All right. He then pulls out a frying pan, and he looks at it. Maybe in a minute, as he puts it down on the ground and tries again. It's on the floor.
Take your time.
That's another 1.
Oh, buddy, bless. I'm glad somebody finally fumbled. It's been weeks.
Mad Lad actually then pulls out a small treasure chest, and he looks at it and if Roguefort wants to make a perception check, he can.
Sure, he's recuperating for a moment. Sure. 1d20 plus, I believe, 8. Or was it 9? Let me check. Perception 8. Okay.
Rogue
17.
All right. Roguefort sees an ornate chest. Very much something like a kid shouldn't have, but inscribed on the top of the lid and almost is a burnt, but not exactly burnt, as it sort of has like blue sapphire is a not out is like it's indented with like a blue sapphire paint, very sparkly, and it has a picture, at least a depiction of a head of a sapphire dragon, and Mad Lad's like, oh no, Nope. That's very important. Can't have that around. As he puts that back in his hammer space.
Roguefort will make mental note of that.
And come on. Oh my gosh, another 2. Okay. He then pulls out a rubber ducky that looks like a pirate. Oh, no, not that. He puts it back away.
As you do that, I'm not even gonna have you roll perception. I'm just having the comedic bit of you do this for so long you can keep rolling until you get it right. But Roguefort is gonna get up and he's gonna try the old-fashioned way of trying to drag it ashore.
This die is not rolling fair. Finally, I had to roll a couple because it just kept rolling 1s and 2s. He finally got a 5. We'll just say it went for a little bit. He pulls out a looks like loaded dice. He then pulls out fireworks. He then pulls out a handful of gunpowder and places it on his head. But then, until he finally gets out a camera.
Aw, buddy. Roguefort still can't move it.
I just actually want to roll quickly for the other things.
No, you're good. I'm actually gonna roll hammer space to see if you can get if you can get something to tie around the shark to help make moving it easier.
No, I say nothing else lore important. So I say Mad Lad, knowing that he's in pain, first takes a selfie with the giant shark. He'll get a picture of him and Roguefort in a minute. He just needs that picture for later.
Yeah, as proof.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those like I forget what the pictures that automatically develop. It's just like I forget what they're called. I should know this. I grew up with this technology.
Would you like me to look it up?
Polaroid. I think it's called Polaroid camera. Yes, Polaroid camera. Yes, yeah, that's what I know.
Because the other thing he gave me was instant print.
Yeah, it's Polaroid camera.
It flashes again, and there's a brief flinch from Roguefort, but at this point, again, you've also taught him that it doesn't steal your soul or trap you. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. This is fine. But you do see that Roguefort has pulled out, he has about 50 feet of hempen rope, so he's starting to try and tie it around the shark.
Mad Lad has 50 feet too, so he's going to give his over to Roguefort too. He actually has hempen and silken rope, so they got 150 feet between the two of them.
Yeah, that would probably be about what you need for a shark of this fucking size.
Yeah.
So, once his wings properly dry off, Roguefort, of course, helps by means of... He does need your assistance, but he also gets the assistance of the dinner critters, since a good portion of them can swim.
Oh, yeah.
But with your help and with the dinner critters' help, you help with getting the rope tied around the underside. He helps with getting it over the top side.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, tying knots. Eventually, using every single foot of rope you have, including the silk, you get the shark tied up enough that you can try and pull it ashore. Would you like to make the strength check with advantage, or would you like Roguefort to do the honors?
I think we both have 3s.
Okay, so I'll have Roguefort try it first.
Okay, thank God for advantage.
Thank God. It takes the entire rest of the evening until it is very late and the moon is in the middle of the sky for you to finally drag this thing ashore.
Yeah,
it leaves such a line in the sand.
Yeah, even with everyone's help, it just takes so damn long.
Well, that was not what I was expecting us to find on our first night camping.
Same here. But hey, let's take a picture.
You know, that doesn't sound like too bad of an idea. Let me get the dinner critters into position real quick. Come along, darlings. Take your time.
And as he gestures with the claws, and he's just his lower set of hands just claps a little, the dinner critters excitedly fly over or crawl over or hop over and just find different parts on one of the big fins to sit on while Roguefort walks over to it.
Yeah, Matt and Red takes a seat next to them, and Mad Lad gets into position as he just does a picture of all of them together.
I assume it does need help from one of the dinner critters, that way they can actually get a photo at a distance instead of up close.
Yeah, it needs one of the help.
I'll say it's probably one of the Charmini.
Sounds good.
So one of the little Charmini, one of the little mini Maki, just is carefully. You need to show them how it works, but eventually you manage to convince it how to push the button. So only on Roguefort's command does it finally go at that, and you just hear Charmini, and you just see all the other dinner critters make a sound which you assume is the equivalent of cheese.
Aww.
And Roguefort doesn't, he has no mouth to smile, and he doesn't make a sound for it, but clearly he smiles in response, and click! Then there are 2 more photos, click, click, and finally one up close that you can hold it so that you can get the Charmini in the shot. It won't get the full shark, but it gets the full party.
Yeah.
And the Scorpeno, actually, where it's positioned, it holds its claws up to try and make bunny ears, but it is not of the appropriate height or the appropriate digits to do that, so you just have a claw behind your head.
Aww, adorable.
But once the photos are taken, Roguefort turns around and just...
So, what do we do with a shark of this size? There's meat that clearly needs to be butchered, but the hide as well is significantly important. Fins can be used.
Mm-hmm.
The bones, obviously the bones. But this was a very big shark. Do we need to tell someone about it, or...?
I kind of feel like yes, just so that it doesn't go to waste.
Fair enough. There is just one issue.
Yeah?
And he points at himself.
Mad
I do not exactly look like I should be walking around town with this kind of mug. Do you think?
Mad Lad gives a so-so hand gesture.
I mean, if you would like for me to try, but one of us needs to stay back and ensure nobody else happens to trespass. Would you like to stay back here, or have me stay?
I'm good either way.
That does not help my decision making, little one.
True, this is true. Say, you probably go because they'll probably think I'm fibbing if I tell them we caught a giant shark.
All right.
And he just sort of straightens himself up, and of course he has to clean the blade off before putting it away because he's not putting a shark blood-stained sword back into its fucking sheath. He's not a savage, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But as he does start to walk away, he does still say aloud,
The only town that is close enough would be Buccaneer Bay. That's going to be fascinating.
Wait, Buccaneer Bay?
The Buccaneer Bay, oui.
Wait a minute.
I
think I've been there before. It reminded me off the top of my head as a player. That's the pirate place, right?
Seems like one of them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Mad Lad actually waves his heart in a no gesture. Actually, I'll go. I know how to handle this.
Are you absolutely positive?
I grew up with pirates. That's a pirate place. I'll be okay.
Roguefort takes a minute. You need to roll persuasion now. As he's looking you over, and he glances between you and the still somewhat glowing sword. Because clearly there is a conversation going on that you are not hearing.
Yeah.
So persuasion, you get no advantage or disadvantage. Just straight persuasion.
Persuasion. That is nothing. That's a 10.
That's gonna be a no, honey.
Mad Lad just sighs. Alright, then you go.
Like, Roguefort, he gives you a once-over, and on the one hand, yeah, it would be fitting for you to go, but also you're a little boy. And he glances over, of course, at Red, who I'm imagining Red probably looks frazzled from the whole thing because of the big shark taking away his buddy for a bit.
Yeah, Red is a little bit shaken, but they are slowly calming down because Mad Lad's giving them cuddles.
It would be best for you to stay behind and give your companion some comfort. Maybe try and figure out for yourself where to mark along where we can figure out how to butcher or what to keep.
Mad
Try
Lad.
not to do any lasting marks to it until I get it professional, though.
Alright, sounds good.
Have you ever butchered a shark this size before?
Mad Lad looks at this size shark. He's like, I have butchered sharks. I have not butchered one that is huge.
Understandable. I am certain you will be able to defend it. I doubt anything is going to crawl ashore and take it, but just in case.
I'm pretty sure too, but yeah.
He then pats you on the head, again rubs his waist just for a moment because healing is all well and good. It's going to be sore for a bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially because, fun fact, since even though he looks humanoid, he's still built like a wasp, that's where most of his organs are connected.
Yeah.
So if he got snapped in half, that's not a funny haha moment. That's it. That's the end of that bug story.
Yeah.
But he walks off. He decides not to fly because honestly his wings hurt at the moment, and that's not a normal thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you get to listen to me narrate for a bit. I hope you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
Before I get to it, though, let's have a 5-minute break. Because it has been another hour since our last one.
Yeah.
So,
Also, I had an idea. Maybe we could
Ooh.
split this up into a two-parter since it is getting a bit late.
it's not going to go on for much longer. I think this is about the tail end of it, actually.
Alright, that's fair. Alright.
So, while it could be split into a two-part, I don't think it needs to be because of how close to the end it is.
Alright, I didn't know what else you're thinking. Okay, that sounds good.
No, you're good. I'll be right back. So this is a drink and bathroom break.
Yep, I'll go too.
Alright, I'm back.
Sweet, me too.
Give me just a moment. I need to DM someone something, actually.
Alright. One second. Nick's calling me.
Understandable.
Hey, babe. We're getting the tail end of it, but what's up? Not yet. Yeah, get us something. Alright. Tomorrow we'll have a good dinner. I promise. We'll at least be with him, and I also got... You'll like what I got in the mail today. I say I'll see you soon. Let me do... Bye. Nick is gonna pick up dinner for us.
Alright, let me finish typing real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mad Lad is, of course, he stays behind to keep an eye on the catch.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you do have the other fish that you can store or you can start cooking, because you did still catch those.
Yeah, Mad Lad's probably gonna start cooking on those since it is late. Might as well have dinner waiting for him when he gets back.
Roguefort, meanwhile, is heading into Buccaneer Bay. Now, Roguefort, there are ways he can try and conceal his appearance, but at the moment, he doesn't really know how he can conceal his entire sugar plum fairy looking, bumpkus. He's just not completely sure how he's going to accomplish that. But he'll do an Arcana check to try. That's a 1d20 plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll try.
I believe in him.
He's used to the other disguises that are either granted to him by the head chef or, don't, usually they just... He's not very good with disguise magic. He has disguises, but they usually can't change his entire size.
Mm-hmm.
He's not used to being 10 feet tall. Surprisingly enough, though,
Yeah.
he does think of something to try. Something that's of a similar size to him. So allow me to pull up the bestiary real quick. Player races, thank you. Because I get to sort these mother duckers, mother truckers by size.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grab a dice real quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What's one of those? Oh. Okay, so. It'll be a d6.
Alrighty.
One, two, three. So. Roguefort decides to go with the disguise of a centaur, which is only 10 feet tall by the fact that the horse half is a Clydesdale.
That's fair.
So he decides to go for the centaur portion, feeling that a centaur that in the very least has a humanoid-looking upper half is significantly less unusual than a fairy made out of food.
Mm-hmm.
And also draws less attention, he would prefer. And he heads into Buccaneer Bay. It is every bit the stereotypical pirate's dream port. From the rickety-looking wooden buildings to the endless amount of booze to be found in most taverns. Most everybody looks like some form of grizzled sailor, from the men to the women. Even the children have, temporary stick-on tattoos of the kind that would wash off with water. And, costume eye patches and things. There are some...
It's funny because I forgot to mention it, but Mad Lad did get a henna tattoo on his last adventure.
Aw, buddy. Beloved. But there's a lot of souvenirs in certain stalls, but it's very late. So while there are certainly a decent portion of pirates out, because most of them don't know what a sleep schedule is either, others are knocked right out. And Roguefort eventually manages to find an appropriate tavern and Making sure that maybe he can try and find his way in, he knocks at the door. The door carefully slides an eye hole open, and a pair of more humane-looking eyes glances up, and then the brows lift. Oof. You don't look like you're from around here, are you? And of course, Roguefort, temporarily not speaking with his voice, goes, not really. Would it be alright to speak to a official, perhaps? Well, officials try the guardhouse. An official on fish, not an official guard. The guy gets a squint. I need to roll him persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bad news, because unfortunately Roguefort's charisma's down the tank.
Come on, Roguefort.
Persuasion is -1.
Nope.
As always said, try the guardhouse. Or the dock. And it just slams shut. He just flinches. He just taps his fingers on the hilt. It feels a little weird having to work with the human hands instead of multiple pairs, but it's fine. It won't last long. So, he's gonna try looking around a bit more. And I need to roll a stealth check. That is a 15. Let's see if, what's Roguefort's passive perception? Ah, that's right, it's an 18. I'll still roll for him, but he may may notice ambiently. So that is perception plus 8. Yeah. There's a while he's looking around that eventually he realizes he's being followed, and he kind of pauses. I do hope I am not breaking any laws by moving around, sir. And he turns, and out of the shadows steps a figure in leather. You don't really get a description because it's too dark to see, but sleek, sharp eyes glance from the dark. There is a frown as he looks him over. I wouldn't think so. But you do look lost. I was hoping to find someone to assist in figuring out what to do with my catch. See, I was with a companion of mine. We were supposed to start our camping trip, so I went fishing. But typically you'd ask at the docks. Yes, I would. Oui, that is correct. Issue being, it is not a normal fish. Slow lift of the eyebrow. Would you happen to know anything about a huge shark terrorizing your dock as of late? Both eyebrows lift, and I'm going to roll persuasion. Which is again a -1.
Hey, is that bad?
No, that actually does pass. Yeah. I might. You're not telling me. We have proof. If you would send some folks to come see. There's a narrow the eyes for a moment, but only a moment, as if trying to look for, some people love to spin stories on what they catch. They'll say they caught something terrifying and then they didn't. Or they'll think they found this abnormal mound of flesh on the beach and it's just a decaying basking whale. Or basking shark. But no, Roguefort is being every bit honest, and even in the disguise of a centaur, this guy can see that. So he nods, and there is some time that passes before... Would you roll me a survival check to see how well you're cooking those fish?
Yeah, can do. Let's see. Decently. That's a... what's that all together? That's a 12.
Better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You're making gets a pretty decent fried fish while waiting for company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you hear that distant swear of, "What in God's good name?"
Oh, great, you're back! And Mad Lad just jumps over happily.
You turn around and there is a crew of at least a dozen different Toons, most of which are either gawking in amazement or horror at the fact that there is a size-huge shark on the beach.
Yeah, we caught that! Mad Lad points at the shark.
I need to now roll recognition to see if they fucking recognize you. So that's perception. That's a group perception. 1d20. You know what? Give me a sec. Odds, there's a modifier. Evens, there's not. Nah, no modifier. Mad Lad, if someone were to recognize you, would it be in a good way or a bad way?
They're pirates, so it would be in a good way. If we're going to go with Buccaneer Bay. Because this guy is known for trouble, and this guy is also known for taking down things that he probably shouldn't have. Most of the time, alone.
Yeah, you get one look from, it appears to be one of the older guys. He actually looks to be a dog Toon. A literal sea dog, if you will. That's based on like a Scottish Terrier. You know the little black dog.
I know the one, yeah.
Except he's white in exchange. And he just slumps. Oh, of course it's you. You do not hear that from a distance, but you can see it in the face of, oh, you.
Yeah, Mad Lad is just puffing out his chest. He is proud to help bring in this catch.
The group, of course, eventually moves in, and most of them are just gawking at this, but you do get a little information from them as they're figuring out how to best divvy it up and what you should get from it because you fucking killed this. What the fuck?
Yeah.
The first thing is, of course, is this was indeed a creature that had been terrorizing the local area, though the group didn't really know why. Mm-hmm. Sharks could be an issue for pirates, but it was usually just the Toon logic of, you know, sea creatures don't normally like pirates, so it's on principle they would get chased. This one, however, didn't just go after pirate vessels. It went after anything that moved in its turf.
Mm-hmm.
So it was seriously impacting the fishing in the area. Unfortunately, when they went to try and send pirates, well, nobody came back.
Mm-hmm.
Their ships would get sunk, and as soon as those poor pirates hit the water, there was no hope of fighting that.
Yeah.
They had been hoping to look for an adventuring party to take it down, but considering it was just the two of you... The first thing you get is you actually do get a solid gold reward for the fact that most of it you're turning into the townsfolk instead of keeping. That is 500 gold each.
Mad Lad is rich.
Now, keep in mind, this is not like a true sea monster. This is like what a tail of a sea monster would be before you find out, oh, it was a giant squid or something.
Yeah.
But this was still an issue for fishermen in the areas and for less experienced pirates. Nobody could get pirating experience with this bastard going out there ruining the fun.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
But you guys managed to get it, and that was fine. Thankfully, they also brought equipment to move it if it was real, and turns out, hey, it is. What the fuck? How did you do that? Which, yeah, one of the sailors asks, how did you do that?
Yeah, Mad Lad probably, while they're all helping to get in, like, tells the tale with all the grandiose as a pirate does of them taking down this epic sea beast. How Roguefort tackled the shark while in the water and finally got it down with his rapier.
Roll me deception with advantage since they know you.
Alright.
You know the truth, they don't, but you get advantage.
He actually has a positive modifier in that. I never get to use this. This is so funny.
Yeah, I figured as much. If a pirate didn't have deception, I don't know what to tell you.
Come on. Stop being a cockeyed. Alrighty! That's a dirty 20.
Yeah, no. Considering what reputation you have with those that do know you better, even those that don't, it's just like, yeah, that sounds about right. And they're looking at him, and of course, now the thing is, they're looking at Roguefort in the disguise of a centaur. So they are looking at the fact that apparently a centaur went into the water to fight this thing. They have no idea he's a sugar plum fairy.
Yeah.
At Roguefort, for a moment when you were trying to lie, he almost looked like he wanted to stop you because it's like, wait, that wasn't how it happened, but he doesn't. Because he glances at the sword as it flickers again, thankfully not glowing when any of them are looking. And when the others actually look at Roguefort with, impressment, approval, one of them actually pats him on the, not exactly on the haunch, but on one of his horse leg shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
He slightly looks confused at how to take the praise, because while he's used to praise in the hunt, it's not normally very genuine.
Mm-hmm.
So he does puff up a little at that. And, the guy's not going to take into account the fact that it doesn't feel like a horse he pats and it feels like ice cream? Question mark? Maybe he's just drunk, who knows? He dismisses it, this is fine, there's no magic here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, the guy that's in charge of this, you don't get a name from him, but you do recognize him as being part of the town's guard. Not the armored guard. You recognize him as part of the stealth guard.
Mm-hmm.
The people that actually do their jobs.
Yeah.
And his important question to you is, what part of the shark do you want?
Mad Lad points at the teeth.
Yeah, he just takes one glance at those sharks and goes, yeah, I should have expected that.
He needs one of those megalodon-sized teeth.
Yeah, understandable. And he glances over to Roguefort, and I need to roll a wisdom save for Roguefort. Because he's being asked to make a decision for himself instead of looking for orders. So let's see if he can wisdom save that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give him one more roll because he's actually getting assistance, but ouch. There's a moment he kind of looks unsure. Like, he's glancing over to you, he's seeing that you want the teeth, and he's glancing at the teeth. But he's also just glancing at the shark in general. And on the one hand, yeah, Mad Lad could probably only have one megalodon tooth at best, because, yeah, that's probably what this is. It's a fucking meg. Not the meg, but it's small. It's a big enough shark. You can excuse it.
It's that size comparison,
It's a cousin of the meg. Mm-hmm. It's a cousin.
Yeah.
And I need to look up the Sea of Thieves shark names later so I could actually properly record. No, I'm grabbing that now, actually, since we're close to the end here. I'm going to grab that. Fuck it. Give me a sec.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, Mad Lad just wants a trophy, and that is just like a perfect trophy.
Mm-hmm. Because on the one hand, yeah, having all those teeth for himself would be great because everybody else can use the meat, and of course they can recover whatever bodies of,
take the whole jaw.
But Roguefort is debating taking the head.
Honestly, that's amazing.
Like, he's seriously debating it because, yeah, this shark is a gnarly looking mother trucker. Mm. It has more rows of teeth than a shark should, to the point it's growing out of the jaw. It actually has multiple eyes, not just two. It has about 4 or 6. Mm-hmm. It has a few more fins than you think. And clearly it's been enough fights. There are cannon scars. There are blade scars. There are bullet scars, musket ball scars. You name it. Even claw and teeth scars. Nothing has managed to bring this down before you two.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to roll a... You know what? I'm going to roll a 1d6 for the coloration of this thing. 1. This is the color of the hungering one, then. So, while this is still a toon body, it is a very rich, deep blue shark that it very much looks close to a great white as you could get. Mm-hmm. Just like a cartoon great white with a deep blue skin, white underbelly, green eyes, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, the eyes would also be neat. But having the whole head... And there is a split-second thought. Actually, roll me perception, see if you can hear it, since you've technically met the guy.
Yeah. Perception. Okay, that's a 18.
Shockingly enough, that actually is enough to get it.
Nice.
You actually hear the slight voice, mostly because the guy in the sword must be that excited or interested of, that'd make a real good figurehead on a ship, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Mad Lad nods like, yeah, that would make a great figurehead for a ship.
Roguefort glances for a moment, but you don't feel like you've intruded on anything. There's just that split second that sort of realizes, right, pirate child could hear. And goes right back to being normal, quiet, and telepathic. But Roguefort is going to ask, could I take the head? The whole head. You're serious? The skull, not all the meat, obviously, but the skull, the bones, the teeth.
Yeah.
Really? Maybe the eyes. I think the eyes would be very nice. I'm going to try and roll him persuasion. Do you want to help with that?
Yeah, Mad Lad's like, yeah, Kenny, he took it down. He really stabbed at and took it down. He deserves a giant trophy.
I'm going to roll him a perception check because there are stab wounds in its snout that are still fresh. So he's going to get a +5. Yeah, it takes him a minute, mostly because this thing is so big. The truth is, it's not quite monstrous size, but it is still Sea of Thieves Megalodon size. It's still a big...
Yeah, it's still huge. Yeah, it's still huge.
It's the size of a ship, at best. But he walks around it for a minute, and it doesn't take him too many steps to go to the front and see where the blade went into the front. Where Roguefort managed to finally pull his legs free and the stab wounds, not just in the upper lip, but between the eyes. And there are a few other fresh bite marks toward the back that you didn't realize probably came from the dinner critters moving it forward.
Yeah.
But they're not really... They're more leech-shaped than anything else, so... Glances at that for a minute, and I'm going to roll him persuasion with advantage, unless you would like to do the honors. Would you like Roguefort to try first?
Persuasion. I have a +1. Not very sure what Roguefort has.
He has a -1.
I can get advantage. If you want me to, I can roll with advantage. Or you want it, I don't care.
I'll try it first, and we'll see.
Alright.
Please.
Yes, alright. 1 second.
Because this is... They do not know the centaur in comparison to you. Though, since you mentioned the name Roguefort, I do have to roll one of them a history check.
Alright. It's better. It's a 15.
Yeah, that's actually good enough to beat. I just need to roll the history check real quick. Because you did, by mistake, say his name out loud. There is a pause for a moment as you're, I assume you're just giving the classic kid begging eyes.
Yeah.
Added with the fact that you are a well-known pirate with a bad reputation.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with this kid.
Yeah, and you also mentioned the name Roguefort, which gets one of the other guys in leather to glance toward the centaur for a minute. And there's a split second where you realize, oh, he's disguised. Maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud, but it doesn't visibly look like that does anything wrong. Instead, that guy walks over to the first one and whispers in his ear a bit. He gets a conflicting look. He whispers back. There's a little bit more, but then no one else is gonna use it. They're really gonna want the teeth, though. But the teeth do make for the intimidating visage if they are intact, and if we are allowed to take the skull, then I am very well versed in removing the teeth for the young lad here. And he actually reaches over and pats Mad Lad on his dusty head.
Yeah, Mad Lad's like, yeah!
Well, that does leave us literally everyone else. Alright. We'll see if we can get it processed to... Sorry, you're gonna need to give us a place to send it. Mad Lad, right? Are you staying at your usual place, or is there somewhere else you are at the moment?
Probably best to send it back to EGAD. My usual place is a bit too small for this.
Egad. Isn't that the Explorers Guild?
Yeah, I do that. I do some quests for them on the side.
Fair enough. You don't even need to insight check. You feel like you've given him a slightly different perspective on what Egad must do, considering you're in their ranks on the side. But
Yeah.
he shrugs that off for a different day of, nope, it's too late for me to think about that. You know what? It's not my problem, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he actually manages to pull out a piece of paper, and you and Roguefort are agreed to sign it. You manage to put down the location for EGAD headquarters. Roguefort helps your handwriting.
That actually has pretty good penmanship.
Fair enough, you might have to help Roguefort's.
Mad Lad is more than happy to help Roguefort after all the shit he just went through.
And after you sign a few papers, put down the addresses, and Roguefort does mention he actually writes down a location for the head to be shipped that isn't explicitly EGAD, but it's close enough.
Mm-hmm.
The guy gets an odd look, but then nods, pulls it back. Right, let's see what we can do about that. How did you catch it anyway? I didn't see a ship anywhere. I know you were telling a big story. Did you set a trap or something? Or fishing rod?
Fishing rod.
You're kidding.
No. Yeah, this is the most amazing thing.
He just glances at Roguefort one more time, glances over the disguised fairy, nods, alright, suppose I've heard stranger things. It'll take us some time to properly get the body broken down and divvied up, but we should eventually have the clean skull and the eyes sent to your place of residence. You get 500 gold each for doing the dubious honor of getting rid of this hungering one, and we get the rest of the meat and bones.
Now that just eye sparkle. It's just like, I haven't had this much gold in forever.
If there are any bones that are left unwanted, we'll send them to your place as well. Not everyone wants a piece.
Yes, please. And that lad just raises his hand.
He nods, and then you watch as this crew of at least a dozen carefully helps move this big shark onto some wheeled platforms. They take off your ropes and tie on their own because that's yours.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually start the honor of rolling it all the way back to the city. The guy gives you a pleasant wave, and you are left once again alone on the coast. Now, very late in the evening.
Well, I cooked up some fish for us if you're hungry, which I'm guessing you are.
You say that as soon as his disguise finally wears off once they're out of sight. But she glances at him over before going,
Honestly, dinner sounds lovely right about now.
Yeah, cook the fish that I caught.
Ooh, let me see.
and you lead him over, and yeah, the evening you spend is spent eating fish. Admittedly, he has an interesting time eating it because at the moment he can really only have nectars or liquids of some kind or soft foods, but once he gets through the crust, he actually is able to break down the food fairly well enough with the mandible's help. You don't see where the food goes because his mouth is not existent, but it's kind of like the Waddle Dee eating animation of chomp, disappears, just like bits vanish.
Yeah, Mad Lad's used to that.
Yeah, like, presumably the mouth probably is still there by some strange toony logic means, but like, you're not gonna question it. We're not questioning it.
You don't question tombs. Especially fairy tombs.
The only downside is because of where you set up camp, all you can smell is dead shark for the next few days.
Mad Lad will accept this.
Not a smell. That's not a good smell.
No, but Mad Lad is just like, you know what? We took it down. This is the smell of victory.
And Roguefort is genuinely impressed by that. Though in no small part thanks to the fact that A, the two of you took it down alone, B, he somehow was not dragged in by the sheer force of it. Or in the very least, not till the last second. And see, he's still surprised he got the killing blow on it.
Yeah.
But you spend the next few days fishing, and he does actually help bring up your magic for some practice, though you got a good portion of practice against the shark and against him.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the exercises he sets up is he sets up a little decoy for you to try and thorn whip over some obstacles.
Yeah.
So if you would roll me just a dexterity check to see if you can do that.
Yeah. Will do.
Because after this, you should have just one last night patrol, or one or two last night shift
Nice.
rolls, and
That's
then
a
that'll
dirty
be it.
20.
Yeah, you actually are able to navigate the obstacle course with ease, and you drag the decoy back to your hands. The decoy, for context, is just it's a little effigy of the Strabby.
No.
It's a little effigy of Blanca just made from some wooden leaves.
Aw. Yeah. Though Mad...
Blanca just looks pleased.
Yeah. Yeah, though Mad Lad would probably ask Roguefort how he gets his form to be, like, corporeal and uncomportable. Incorporeal, because he would like to do something similar to Red, just in case if he gets hurt, Red will be okay.
It is a complicated magical process, but you did also just prove that you both were very much worthy of that and very much strong enough to take it, so I'll see what I can try and recall, but since my memory on Velora is very fuzzy, I
actually do need to roll him another wisdom save for that.
Yeah, it's like Mad Lad's like anything would help. I just worry about Red, and I just want to make sure he's safe.
That's actually enough. 15 meets it beats it, so I get to make him a memory check. The normal one. You motherfucker. I'm gonna give you one more for the benefit of the doubt, you silly bastard. You silly bastard! I take you by the neck, I take you by the antenna! Roguefort doesn't say anything, but he is at least going to... He glances toward the dinner critters, and... there seems to be some sort of quiet conversation that you obviously can't understand unless you speak with animals or something, but... eventually there's a nod, and he, of course, turns back to you.
believe we can try and show you, but the process is different for every creature, so it may not be exactly the same as ours was.
Mad Lad nods. That's understandable. But I at least want to start maybe learning different processes and trying it eventually with Red.
He nods. Which is when you learn his process. And you unfortunately learn it was not a good one.
Oh.
See, Roguefort's binding with the dinner critters occurred centuries ago when he was very young.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be reminded of many of the circumstances around it by the dinner critters themselves, because they still preserve some of his memory from back then that hasn't been... You'd have to roll an insight check as he sort of dodges the topic of lost.
That's fair.
Just tries to be gentle about it. If you want to roll insight, you can. If not, you can blow over it.
Mad Lad will... He's a kid. Let's see what he insights. That's a 15.
On the one hand, he's not lying about the fact his memory has been lost or something's been done to it. He's not giving you the details on how.
And Mad Lad wouldn't push him on it and say he'll tell him in his own time.
But the story you learn about the process Roguefort had with the dinner critters was different. At that point, Roguefort had been at a low point. He had been basically trying to resist on his own for a long time the pushes of the head chef and her hires to the rest of the food court. The food court itself wasn't bad, but the head chef's friends were not very friendly, and he himself was at a very stressed point and wanted to make sure he couldn't be manipulated. at least fully. During his ranger training, he eventually grew attached to or started communicating with dinner critters that were native to the area that he was hiding in, which was a coastal region, particularly the Samonda and Charzushi duo. And they were the ones to show him the process to basically bind the swarm to him as a ranger and to make him a swarm keeper. The downside was that involved him basically eating the dinner critters and becoming one.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't go into detail, but you can imagine it was not a pleasant process.
Yeah, Mad Lad just nods.
Roguefort, of course, mentions that thankfully, since Red is not a dinner critter, you don't have to think about trying to eat your friend or eating a bunch of them at once.
Mm-hmm.
But the process still likely involves going to Red's roots, where you first found him, for example,
Mad Lad nods.
and undergoing a magical ritual there.
Mad Lad nods at this. So back at the farm, he popped out of the ground. It's a Carmenia's farm, which is also right next to the magical forest with the spirit in it. Maybe she could possibly help me.
She very well could, though are you certain she would want to? Is she a benevolent spirit, or...
No, she's a benevolent spirit, but she's similar to, like, you guys, where she likes playing pranks on us every once in a while.
I see.
You don't even need an insight check to know that he's just like, okay, so noted. I go nowhere near that region ever.
Yeah, Mad Lad's just like, yeah, like, sometimes she gets us lost. She gets us lost, and I swear she laughs, but she eventually lets us out into the right place.
Well, in the very least, it is fortunate she always returns you where you came from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he explains a few more, though the likely ritual is either you'll have to go to the same farm, to a different farm, or if you want to even to communicate with that magical spirit,
Mm-hmm.
which you can decide to do either in this session or you can just decide to do in the background.
We'll probably have an FPS over it with Carmenia. We'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm. But most of your camping trip outside of that goes very well, with Roguefort helping you, refine some spells and others. And you actually help Roguefort with figuring out cooking, because one thing he brought on the trip was, oddly enough, a cookbook.
Yeah. I love cookbooks.
But you just have one last thing to do, you and Roguefort both, and that is you both need to make night shift perception checks once I decide what the weather is. So
Yeah.
3d20.
Though Mad Lad will, like, ooh.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Your trip's gonna last one more day because, unfortunately, that is extreme cold and heavy snow.
They make an igloo. Let's just say they make an igloo.
Yeah, an igloo, and Roguefort does his best to bundle you up because that's not great. Other downside is both of you make your perception checks at disadvantage.
Yeah.
So, Roguefort's gonna do it first. Thankfully, he beats a 10, so his shift doesn't have an ambush. I'm gonna need 2 perception checks from you. Take the lower one. Because, disadvantage.
It's a 10! Beats it!
Whew. It's the strangest thing. With how cold and... I realize it wouldn't really be snowy on the coast, it would be rainy. So, unfortunately, you deal with sleet, which is...
Yeah.
But there's a moment you swear. You swear with your bones. You think there's something out there looking at you. But you don't see it from the mouth of the... you don't see it from the mouth of your shelter you make, which I realize can't be an igloo, but it's still a shelter.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the water.
Yeah. With all
You
the...
can barely see as... continue?
Yeah, Mad Lad is like, this probably is fair enough. That was a lot of blood in the water.
And you can only see it when the occasional lightning flashes because the wind's not moving too much. It's heavy rain, some thunder, and some lightning. There is a brief moment where you see a silhouette in the water, and the flash of lightning illuminating a pair or two of eyes. But while you have your little staring contest with them, eventually you don't even see it because it is so dark out there. The next time it flashes, they're gone.
That's fair.
You manage to get back to sleep, but you fall asleep facing the water, just in case.
Yeah.
Eventually, your camping trip comes to a close. You start packing up to head back. And Roguefort, of course, cleans things up, but he probably would consider your training a success not just for what you showed off the field, but for the surprise factor of the fucking shark.
Yeah, the surprise factor of the fucking shark really clenched it.
Because, as he admits to you later, he was actually going to test your skills in a different combat. There were some thugs that were along one of the roads he was going to try and have you take out with him, which were using their banditing skills to take back money they had already paid others. Since they were noblemen in disguise and not real, impoverished bandits.
Yeah.
But since you took out the shark, he didn't want to put you through that, so he's going to take care of the bandits later. Unless you want one last fight in this FPS.
Nah, I think we're good. It's getting a bit late on my end, but Mad Lad is just happy with his training, and he's just like, thank you for everything, Roguefort. I say this was amazing. I had so much fun.
But say, I did also have quite the excellent time. I was not expecting to get such a workout with a shark in the water.
Yeah, me neither, but I like surprises, and that was a fun surprise.
Most of the things I have slain of similar size have either been airborne or landborne. I have not fought a sea creature of such size before, so I can safely say that is a first.
Yeah, first time for everything. Yeah. Though, he does think back to the conversation he had with the swarm and him telling him about, like, his past, past. It's just like, and they, and he holds his head. If you ever want to talk about anything, I'm open to talk with you. I trust you a whole lot.
I have to make him two saving throws. Why do you have to pull the soft kid shit on me? The first thing, of course, is I have to make him the charisma save to... He manages to hold in his emotions, unfortunately, but now I get to make him a wisdom save. You don't really see anything change in his expression, but he hesitates for a moment. And then nods.
I will keep a note on that. Merci.
No problem.
And with that, once the weather clears up, you are able to properly make your way all the way back to Egad. And immediately telling Ollie you killed a giant fucking shark.
Oh yeah, for sure. That is the first thing.
And he's in the middle of a nice conversation with Thad. They're having what appears to be a lovely day in the treehouse, and you just barge in like, guess what we killed?
Exactly. That's exactly how it happens.
And that is one of the last scenes. As most of the credits roll and we're treated to some pleasant, light coastal music, almost Monkey Island-esque, there's just one last image that fades in. Just through the tail end of the credits. And it just appears to be this little green fae. Like a little green light in the woods, just leaning on some leaves, watching. And I'm going to roll a 1d2 as to whether that ends on a good note or a bad note.
Ooh.
And it ends on a good note. She just sort of. And then she's this fairly butch looking little thing. She's just a delightful sort. I need to remember if it's pixie or sprite specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Give me just a moment. Is this the same icon I'm looking for? Please? I have her written down somewhere, but I don't want to just like.
No,
It
you're
pixie.
fine. Yeah.
And she's this butch looking pixie in green and black with various veins throughout. And her little pixie cut hair. And she just sort of leans against the branch and she smiles. And as she flies back out of view, there's the glimmer of something else that was trying to spy on her. A reflection of glass. And then it's quiet.
Nice. I can't wait.
And that concludes Blazing a Trail. We hope you enjoyed listening, and Winona, I hope you had fun.
Oh, I had tons of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun too.
I was very prepared for that shark to leave some. Well, I think it's gonna leave scars either way.
Yeah, definitely. I was very worried. I was just like, shoot, these rolls.
Look. Here's the thing. If it was a smaller shark, I could maybe gloss over that because normally I don't give scars unless there's either a nat 20 on my funny little crit table or something else. But that was a big shark. There's no way that's not gonna leave a mark.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. But anyways,
So,
yeah. Ugh,
but I had fun, you had fun,
yeah.
and I hope the audience enjoyed themselves as well. With that can. Oh, sorry, you were saying?
I was gonna say bye.
That concludes our FPS. On parting notes, remember to wear your masks, maintain social distance. Even if it feels like a safer time, remember to follow your gut and do what's safest for you and yours. Wash your hands. Try not to eat anything you'd be allergic to, even if it would be a delicious treat that you're sure you would love. And what in the world is my sister and her fiance doing? Anyway, we hope you have an excellent night. Good night.